Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the live stream of the $1 million guaranteed Borgata Fall Poker Open $1 million guaranteed championship event. My name is Katie Stone. I'm here with my friend Ricky Guan. And for the next few hours, we are here to watch and probably learn a lot from this immensely talented and experienced final table of players.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty star-studded final table here. A lot of big-name pros, a lot of guys with multiple big championships, and we do have some newer faces here. So excited to see how this final table plays out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with the fact that 3 of the players at the final table are not only very experienced live, but also very experienced online. And that's very important when it comes to pay jumps. First place is $270,000. It's a pretty hefty amount to be playing for right now, but it's not an amount that they are unused to playing for. So
yeah, absolutely. It's going to be very exciting. The players have already gotten started, so let's get down to the table and meet our players. Final table. He comes in with 1.1 million 40,000 in chips, so somewhere in the middle of the pack, but this is a very deep final table, and he's going to have plenty of chips to play with here.
Seat 2 is Michael Glick. He comes in with just over $1 million in chips. He is our short stack here at the final table. Seat 3 is Matthew Wantman with about 3.2 million in chips, a very experienced live and online cash game and tournament player. Seat 4 is Brian Altman, also a very experienced cash game and tournament player online and both live. Very well known for his ultra aggressive style and for never folding. He comes into the day with a little bit over 1.4 million, which is good for 5 out of 6 at this final table. Seat 5 is Dat Vu. He comes into this day with just a little over 1.9 million in chips. And we had seat 6 is Wenhao Ying, and he is our chip leader on the day with just over 4.2 million in chips. And he is actually, you know Wenhao. He's also a live tournament player. He's had quite an incredible year. Just this year, really started playing tournaments and has had some pretty impressive results just in 2018. Really interesting, dynamic final table we have here, Ricky, with extreme skill in multiple formats. We have high-stakes cash game pros who play all the games. We have guys who are playing high-stakes tournaments live and online all over the world. And then we have Dat Vu.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, Ying does come into this final table with the chip lead. I've known him for about 2 years now. We actually made a deep run here at the Borgata when I made my final table last April. He got 10th place. And ever since that, he's been playing tournaments throughout the year and having a lot of success despite playing so sparingly. So excited to see how he navigates here with the chip lead at this star-studded final table.
So it looks like we have action on the first hand, which is nice to see. Hopefully it will dictate the day. We have an under the gun open from Bucky with a pair of 9s. And it looks like it was folded around to the button with Wenhao having another pair. And
this is a very deep final table to start off with. Our shortest stack at this final table is Michael Glick, and he has 37 big blinds. So with this amazing structure here to play in this championship event, we lost players fairly quickly at the start of this final table. So now that we're down to our final 6, everyone is very deep stacked, and we should be in for a pretty long final table today. So we see 3 pairs and a hidden hand by Paul Volpe in the small blind.
so our under the gun opener is going to bet the king high flop into 3 people, which will likely be the end of the hand, right? Unless we can see.
Yeah, it depends on what Paul has here in the small blind.
That's a big variable. Knowing Paul G's a legendary online crusher from more than 10 years ago. Just somebody who has been crushing for as long as he's been playing, pretty much.
And first blood goes to Bucky here at this final table. Bucky has been pretty active since they combined for when they got 10-handed. He did come in as one of these shorter stacks, but was able to chip up very nicely throughout the start of 10-handed play and comes in today with over 100 big blinds.
Yeah, Bucky actually recently had a win here at Borgata this summer. He won I believe it was one of the Summer Open events.
So yeah, hello to everyone in Twitch chat. Hello to all of my fans as well who has come here. I know I haven't been streaming too much lately. Been playing here during the Borgata series after coming back from Run It Arena. So hello to all of my friends in chat. So with Ying having the chip lead at this final table, I expect him to be fairly active. No players are super short, so there aren't going to be too many like pay jump considerations in the players' minds at the very moment. Everyone's going to try and chip up and try and accumulate as many chips as they possibly can in a lot of these pots. So
yeah, and I'm sure that the players did a little bit of research on their opponents last night, as you and I probably would do the same when we're playing for this kind of money. So they probably understand that there could be fireworks.
yeah, I definitely expect that with the group of players
Which
we have.
would be really fun. So interesting flop for two of these players, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Vu starting off here, opening the 4-3 suited from the hijack. Definitely one of the weaker hands that he will open. Ying's going to get out of the way with the queen jack. And Bucky here flatting top pair.
And Alti is really examining Bucky here, and his body movement and his actions really interesting to see. Oops.
Just the nuts on the turn for Dat Vu. And Bucky's not going to expect him to have a hand like 4-3 here opening from the hijack. Oh, Vu getting tricky here on the turn, deciding to check back with the nuts. After Vu checks back the ace, Bucky will expect to have the best hand a lot of the time here with his king jack. Going for a value bet here on the river, and I hope we see a raise. It's going to be pretty bad if we don't see a raise here, right?
You do remember that queen jack was folded on the flop.
I know. Unlucky for Ying there.
He's going to raise? He went 125 up to 300.
Yeah, very small raise here by Vu with basically the nuts. You don't expect Bucky to be floating too many queen jack type of hands unless they have some sort of like, backdoor flush draw, maybe queen jack of diamonds. But 4-3, the wheel here definitely strong enough for a raise.
Yeah, and even if Dat Vu had turned, like a two pair, like an ace-5 suited or something, you would still expect him to be betting.
Yeah, but if you're in Bucky's shoes, you don't expect him to have a hand this strong. He did check back the turn after betting flop. But
wow, fold. Good fold. Fold.
Yeah, I think Vu missed out on a little bit of value in this hand. Now, typically when you make a good hand on the turn, especially a hand as disguised that's having 4-3 there on that board, you do want to be putting in quite an amount of chips. But he was able to get a bet out of Bucky there on the river. Thank you to all you guys for tuning in early for our final table here at Borgata. All the players at this final table are guaranteed $50,000 $337. The next page up in this event for 5th place will be $60,404, and all the players are playing for that first place prize of $270,765. The event started with 437 players. We are down to our final 6. And we started this live stream with about 28 minutes left of level 24, the 30K level. And at this final table live stream, blinds will go up every 60 minutes until we get down to heads up play.
So it looks like we have Dat Vu limping under the gun with ace-6 of diamonds. Does that look right, Ricky?
Yeah, this is limping here with the ace-6 of diamonds. Definitely a fine play to mix in some limps here, especially being one of the middling stacks at this final table. We're definitely going to see Vu mix things up here at this final table. That's for sure.
Yeah, that'll be fun, especially with the other players also seem to be having tendencies to mix it up as well with some cash game players at the table as well.
Vu decides to bet here on this Jack 8-7 flop. And Alti with a gutter here on a pretty coordinated board decides to just fold, and Vu will take it down.
So interesting, talking about seating position here at this table, Ricky. So if you're Paul Volpe, having these players on your immediate left all in a row is probably not the most enticing thing that you want to see, right? Because that potentially can alter your opening ranges, do you think? Or slow you down possibly, or change your opening amount? What kinds of things do you consider when you have, Glick, Wantman, and Alti all on your immediate left like this at a final table?
I personally think Volpe has a very good seat here at this final table. He's on the left of the chip leader. You get to, the chip leader is typically going to be the person who's going to be most aggressive at a final table. But having position on him, he's able to react to what Ying does now. And Volpe's been around long enough where he's not scared to open into anyone's big blind here. And he does also have position on, one of the least experienced players at this final table too. So I'm sure he's going to look to take advantage of that. Interestingly enough, Volpe came into day 3 of this event. This is day 4 final table. He came to day 3 of this event fairly short. He was down to fewer than 10 big blinds quite a few times throughout day 3, but he has certainly ran it up to get to this point.
Oh. Alti has flopped a good hand.
That is quite a good hand. See, Alti flatting the King 10 offsuit from the small blind versus Bucky's open. I would expect.
What do you think about that? Some players might 3-bet, some players might fold, some players might call.
Yeah, you can definitely mix all 3 options here. He's certainly aware that Vu is one of the least experienced players at this final table. Is going to try and get involved with him, quite a bit. But pretty poor run out here for Alti. He decides to check on the turn, and now the board double pairs. Queen, Jack, 9, 9, Queen. Not the run out that Alti wanted to see here. And it's going to be pretty hard to get value from worse. Mainly targeting some like jacks or some ace highs that Vu or Bucky might had. Matt Bucky Wantman here with a pretty interesting decision on the river. Alexa just fold the ace high. He definitely could have considered calling there with the ace high on this board. You would expect, Alti to be betting turn with quite a few of his stronger hands, some Queen X as well. So hard to see him have too many full houses on that board when it runs out like that.
But again, we see a good fold from Bucky. You guys can follow along all the action here at Borgata. You can go online to fallpokeropen.theborgata.com. You can also take a look at the Twitter account at Borgata Poker. Generally is pretty up to date on all the announcements and goings on here at the Borgata and online on borgatapoker.com. Any questions for us, you guys? Any comments? Anything that you would like us to address and talk about? Hashtag Borgata Poker Live. You can also tweet at us at RatedGTO and at Katie Stone Poker.
So yeah, fans in chat, who do you think will win this Fall Poker Open Championship event? Is it going to be the chip leader coming into today, Ying? Is it going to be one of our experienced pros in Volpe, Bucky, or Alti? Is it going to be our mixed game specialist in Glick? Or is it going to be our kind of wild card here at this final table in Vu?
Somebody in chat says Altman has crazy eyes.
Altman definitely focuses a lot on his opponent's movement, what they're doing at the table. So
very intense. I think that's I think intense is a very good description for him. He's not very much gets by him.
Yeah, definitely has some really good table presence, and for a lot of recreational players, might be pretty scary to play against just because he's always staring you down a little bit and really focusing on each of your actions. But those are the things, those little things, is what makes a player like Alti very successful, and definitely proven that over the course of his career.
So another pot for Dat Vu. He's definitely won the majority of the pots here at this final table so far with 8 deuce, which is a very similar hand to the hand that Alti crushed my dreams and soul in with the WSOP main event this year. 45 minutes to go, day 4.
Day 4 is still a really awesome rundown.
Yes, but the 8-3 is not an awesome hand.
Vu, definitely not shy of playing pots here so far. I love to see it though. You know, first big final table, a lot of players are usually scared and gonna play fewer hands, try not to make too many mistakes, but Vu's getting right in there and gonna be active and trying to accumulate all the chips here.
He is, and I'm sure he did research on his opponents, understanding, who he's playing against today. And, yesterday as as people were busting and getting knocked out, and we were getting closer and closer to a final table, and just so many very good players were still in the field, that I started getting really excited about this final table stream because, especially as we start to lose a player or two, we will hopefully get to see some fun play.
All right, this is the interaction. This is the confrontation that I want to see the most at this final table. The chip leader versus Paul Volpe.
And what kind of player, what kind of player is he, in your opinion? Is he willing to fire? Is he more refined?
Ying is just super solid overall. Like, I've played with him a few times over the past couple of years, and I don't think I've seen him make one mistake over the course of all the times we've played.
Wow. So he's a very studied.
Interesting because, he's a student, 24 years old. He's only been playing poker for about a year or two now.
He's also putting Paul Volpe all in right now.
Yeah, I actually really like this move by him, deciding to limp the king-queen instead of raising it. Typically the chip leader is going to be putting on a lot of pressure versus some of the shorter stacks here by raising a lot. But this is a play I definitely like by Ying here with the king-queen.
And this is for a lot.
Yeah, it puts Volpe in a very tough spot here because ace-10 is a super strong hand, especially blind versus blind. The reason why you raised was because you try to get value for your hand. I don't think he expected Ying to come out with the limp 3-bet shove this early, but definitely put in a tough spot. Is this a call that you would make after raising the ace-10?
Well, it looks like, I mean, how many big blinds effective is he?
It's about 30 big blinds
30 big
for
blinds.
Volpe here.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I don't think I'd be able to fold. I mean, what about you?
Yeah, ace-10 super strong. I expect Ying, if he's playing a limp 3-bet strategy, to be using some weaker aces, you know, some pairs that you're flipping
suited,
against.
Ace-8 suited.
And then some of these Broadway hands that you're ahead of.
Yeah, so...
It's tough because, you know, there are pay jumps to worry about. I don't think Volpe is the kind of person at this final table to really care too much about the pay jumps, especially one that's, you know, only 10K with 270K up top. But
and that's an interesting point that you bring up too, is that a lot of these players are very used to playing for large amounts of money.
Exactly.
Oh, and he folded. Wow. So your chip leader is putting the pressure on.
I like it. I really like the way Ying played that hand, because if he raises and let's say Volpe shoves, then he's put in the tough spot with the king-queen on whether or not to call it off.
Yeah.
But limping here allows Volpe to maybe isolate some, you know, some weaker hands, some of these like middle-ish stronger hands, and Volpe is the one who is forced to fold the better hand in this blind v blind spot. This was a $1 million guaranteed championship event. We did exceed the guarantee here.
Yep, these players are playing right now for a $50,000 cash. The pay jump after that is about $10,000 up to 60. Then it goes up to 76,000, 95,000. Second place is 156,000 with first at just over 270. And we have Altman opening the hijack.
So Volpe has to know that Alti is a fairly aggressive player, going to be opening quite a bit here, and he's going to come after him with the ace-4 suited.
So is this, you know, going back to like the king-10 hand in the small blind, being able to mix in flats, 3-bets, folds. Talk about the ace-4 suited. This is a different position. It is hijack. It's not button, and he is small blind. But talk about, you know, obviously I don't think anybody is folding their hand pre, but 3-betting and calling are certainly options sometimes depending on who's opening, right?
For sure, and it really depends on who the pre-flop aggressor is in this spot. He knows Alti's going to be raising a lot here, and he's applying pressure immediately, has that, you know, good ace blocker. But I think we will see a flop here with Alti having a hand as nice as 8-7 suited.
So the raise was to 60 initially, and the 3-bet out of position was to 190.
Yeah, Volpe kind of leveraging his own stack here in a way where he's not going to expect Alti to peel too much just because there's already 440,000 in the pot and Volpe has less than 2x pot behind. So it's a spot where Alti's not going to be peeling too much versus Volpe's 3-bet.
So when Volpe is thinking about what Alti's flatting range is here, he has to think that small pairs are in that range as well, possibly 6s, 5s.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Alti does have to defend a little more just because he's opening a slightly wider range. But yeah, I expect some pairs in there, some suited connectors, and even some traps pre-flop. Now, he might throw in the aces or the kings flat once in a while. Goes check here on this flop after Volpe flops 2 pair on the jack-jack 4 board. Volpe had one of those in-between hands on the flop where
You know, it's good. You want a little bit of protection, but some of the time you'll be running into a better hand. So just the bluff catcher here for Volpe at this point.
So Alti really has to think that, you know, he probably doesn't have very much showdown value with 8 high. So what do you think he's thinking right now? Just like he's done with the hand, or is he...
It's a spot where he's going to wait until the river. You know, if he was going to bluff,
hits a pair on the river. That's his plan. Okay.
Yeah,
got it.
That's definitely one way to win this pot. I think if it had checked down to the river, Alti would have decided to put a bluff out there.
And that's kind of what I was wondering. Like, you know, depending on what the river was.
But now he has a value bet.
Sure,
He has the best hand here a lot of the time.
Sure.
Volpe has a hand that looks like, you know, ace high a lot of the time here. So definitely going to try and go for some value on the river.
So he is going to bet.
A little under half pot here on the river by Alti. I would imagine Volpe has to call here, right?
Yeah.
Flop 2 pair.
It's a tough fold for him.
Volpe is going to expect Alti to have some bluffs here by the river. And after checking down to the river here, Volpe might not have many better hands in his range. He's definitely been put in some very tough decisions to start this final table.
Again, you guys can follow along the blog updates. Borgata Poker has a very comprehensive blog that covers all of the events here at Borgata. And you can take a look at all of the chip counts, the payouts, pictures, and more at fallpokeropen.theborgata.com.
Do want to mention that if you do not want any spoilers for this final table stream, do not look at the blog. The blog is covering in real time. So we are currently on a 30-minute delay. So everything that's happened down there at the final table, we will find out 30 minutes later. So yeah, Volpe does make the call there on the river with his ace-4, paying off the value bet there by Alti. I want to say hello to some of our friends in chat here. Hello, Chris. What's up, D-Mock? Hello, Hebrew Hammer. Congrats on your run in this main event. What's up, Jackie? Miko asks, how did I bust this main event? I did cash this tournament, made day 3, and the hand that really did me in was jacks versus 6s for most of my chips at the start of day 3. I was really feeling a run here. You know, Borgata's one of my favorite places to play, if not my favorite place to play. Made quite a few runs at this main event here so far, and always feels nice to be deep in a tournament with over $1 million in the prize pool. But that's okay. I get to join you friends here in the commentary booth and watching this final table with you guys.
So Alti opens under the gun with 9s, and it's folded back around to Bucky in the big blind with an offsuit ace, and he is defending. Does the fact that Alti only minned, does that affect, how does that affect your ace rag defending range in the big blind coming from an under the gun opener? Blinds are 30K, he opened to 60. And also, with a hand like nines, you know, how does that also affect your opening size?
Alti's been using a pretty consistent raise size throughout this tournament, you know, mainly going with the min raise here. How it affects my big blind defense range, definitely going to be defending a little more just because it is a min raise, but have to take into account that he is opening from under the gun here. The chip leader is in position to him at this final table, so a lot of factors go into it, but my defense range in the big blind won't be affected too much versus the standard under the gun. Now, if he were to open, you know, 3x or 4x or 5x from under the gun, then that would change my my defense range quite drastically. But the difference from like 2 big blinds to like 2.1 big blinds that a lot of people use, not too much there.
Yeah.
A lot of Altman fans here in chat. Definitely one of the more well-known pros here that travel to play live poker.
Yeah, somehow I didn't know who he was this summer when he sat down at my table at the end of day 4 in the main event. And nobody believed me that I didn't know who he was. I really didn't.
I'm sure after playing with him for about 15 minutes, you find out very quickly.
So, yeah, and that's absolutely. After 15 minutes, I knew exactly what type of player was in the big blind, for sure.
Yeah, Alti, a former WPT champion, a WSOP circuit ring winner, definitely a very accomplished professional with almost $3 million in live earnings.
So he does decide to check the river after Bucky continued along in the hand.
Here to chat says, are the cameras going to follow Dat Vu to the roulette table if he wins? We're going to have to ask production about that. But in his bio sheet, he did say that was what he's going to do.
Is he going to take all of his winnings?
That's what he said. And I'm going to try my very best to hold him to it.
Do we get to pick, like, what game he plays or anything? Or
he says roulette, and he's going to put it all on the table.
Just roulette, and he's going to put it all on the table. Wow.
He's going to put it all on black. We've heard stories, we've seen some articles, we've seen videos of other poker players who have won big tournaments and gone straight to the tables to do that.
We have. It is an admirable aspiration.
Volpe has been very active here so far at this final table, mainly because he's been getting some pretty good hands. Looks like he'll just be all in here with his pocket nines for his final 14 to 15 bigs.
Not really anything else I would want to do with a hand like nines.
Looks like he'll get this one through. Vu says he has been playing poker for over 14 years now, mainly in home games. We have 0 tournament results for Vu. So this is definitely his biggest final table, his biggest live cash. But definitely not new to the game of poker at all. Glick is opening the cutoff here with the King 9 suited. Glick using going to 85k here, and Bucky calling from the button with a queen jack. And they will go heads up to a flop. 6-5-4 here, and Glick flops the king high flush draw. The Glick himself, not too much tournament experience. Most of his cashes have come from the $50,000 Poker Players Championship. He is a very accomplished mixed game professional, plays some of the highest stakes in the world. Probably find him in Doyle's room in Vegas, playing some 5K, 10K mixed games.
Yeah, you have to wonder, you know, what a 50K cash means to him right now, and with the games that he plays being sometimes it's, you know, it's a straddle, and you know it's
50K in the middle already.
Pre, like, you know, just to play your hand. So it's like, it's so, does that I wonder for guys like this who have such a high, you know, tolerance for swings like this, does that force them to then make more refined decisions because you can absolutely concentrate 100% and not worry about the money? Mm-hmm. Or does it go the other way and they're just like, whatever, it's just 50K, like, let's just gamble and try to get it all?
I think for most professionals, because you play poker for a living, you definitely want to be able to perform at your very best. You want to try and make the best decisions you can. So it's nice to see him come over to the No Limit Hold'em tournament realm and have this, you know, successful run that he's had.
Yeah, he's clearly taking it very seriously, and a lot of you know, high stakes mixed game players that I know say that playing mixed games makes their no limit game a lot better.
Absolutely.
And so this is one reason why a lot of these players can come over and have good success in the tournament world.
So Glick taking a very interesting line here in this hand so far. He decides to check the flop. Bucky's taking a stab with a queen jack. Glick calling and turning top pair here with the king. And Bucky fires again here on the turn. Glick has less than pot behind now, so with a hand as strong as king nine of diamonds, might just put all the money in the middle now.
Yeah, I can't.
There's the merit to doing that, you know, try and get some value for the king nine suited. You know, there's also merit to continue to bluff catch. You know, your opponent is going, you know, might not put you on a hand as strong as a king here by the turn after you check call the flop. Like, how many kings do you really check and call a bet with anyways, right?
Do you think that Glick's check on the flop was with the intention to possibly check raise?
Well, he decides to check call here, you know, keeping the pot a little small. He knows that Volpe is, you know, a little shorter than he is at this final table. He himself doesn't want to put all of his chips at risk.
Right this second.
Exactly. And Bucky flatting him from the button here. He's going to have, you know, some medium strength hands where, you know, don't necessarily want to get in against.
Sure.
And Glick does go all in here on the turn and takes this pot down. Would have been interesting if he decided to check call again, what Alti would have done on the river. And knowing Alti, he's probably going to go for it.
Questions for commentators about players, anything Borgata Poker, you can tweet at us at Katie Stone Poker at RatedGTO and use the hashtag Borgata Poker Live. Join in on our conversation. Tell us who you want to win the tournament. I know who I want to win. Like, I know, like, I kind of know who I want to win. I also know who I kind of don't want to win. I hate to say that, but you know.
I am 100% unbiased. I'm here to enjoy the poker with you guys here in chat.
I just have being a online grinder for a very long time, it always makes me really happy when I see, guys from, back when I was just starting to play online poker, 2008, like Paul Volpe, still coming and just crushing these.
So you want the rich to get richer here at this final table?
I appreciate the success that he's had and the difficulty that it is to have that kind of success over such a long period of time in a game that has changed quite a bit since 2008, Ricky. Mm-hmm. So somebody who's been able to adapt at every level, in every game, at every stake, on every format we've seen. Yeah, I like when those guys win.
Absolutely. You cannot have a conversation about who the elite players in poker are without mentioning Paul Volpe's name in there. What's up, Johnny Drama? Congrats on your run here at the Fall Poker Open Championship event.
Yeah, he was my pick to win. I really wanted him to win.
It wasn't yourself or Joey?
Well, I mean, after we busted, obviously. But, I would love for one of our BorgataPoker.com's most loyal online grinders to win a huge tournament, of course, in our backyard, for sure.
And you and Joey have had quite the series and quite the year so far.
Yes, my husband and I actually have had a pretty good series. He even chopped event number 1 heads up for just under 130K, and then a couple nights later I took first and chopped $300 150K for another 20K, and so that was a kind of a cool 48 hours. I would like to repeat it again.
Absolutely. Family success in poker.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, too, because we have a 3-year-old son, and he's been able to come and see both mom and dad at the poker table independently, and I think that's really cool that he gets to see both mom and dad working and doing the exact same thing. I wonder how, I feel like he's going to be a judge when he gets to be older, because he will have such a fundamental, objective way of looking at everything,
Has he started playing yet? Is he running the Sims already?
We're starting chess very soon.
Awesome.
The World Chess Championship is going on right now. I don't know if you guys are interested in chess, but for the first time in a very long time, the United States has a contender. And so that's a really, really, really cool thing, Fabiano Caruana.
Definitely a big crossover between chess and poker. I know a lot of poker players who have been, very skilled in chess and, a lot of other games that require, such abilities.
Sure. And chess players make good poker players because they understand how valuable study is, and they understand how to study a lot. We have two good hands that are going to see. Oh, not only 2 good hands.
See, Altman opening the hijack here with the pocket 10s. Blinds are now at 20K, 40K. So he has just about 35 big blinds to start this hand. Vu deciding to just call in the cutoff with the ace-queen suited. Definitely a hand that is strong enough to mix in some 3-bets as well. And Ying here on the button, our chip leader, waking up with the pocket jacks.
So if you're him, what is your sizing right now?
Probably something around 320. Something versus one player, you would typically go, 3 times in position or so, and you'll tack on an extra big blind for the cold caller.
And this kind of, it could definitely look like he's the big stack. He's trying to push people around, trying to put pressure on people. It's a good quote-unquote spot, but you have 2 absolutely viable hands to go post right now. 2 additional hands that have yet to act.
Yeah, with how a final table dynamic works, you expect the chip leader to be putting on a lot of pressure, and with a hand as strong as pocket 10s for 35 big blinds, I can't see Alti getting away from this one. Just one of those cooler spots in poker.
I'm just really glad I can see the cards. because I can just imagine like being him and in this spot with tens, and this is and we have a flatter, and then the chip leader, and I'm just like really like not enjoying life right now.
Really? I mean, like, part of you doesn't want to bust this tournament, but
yeah,
the other part of you is...
I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to bust. I don't want to, you know, be whatever. And he does go all in.
Yeah,
here,
you have a hand as strong as pocket tens here versus, you know, the chip leader who's going to play fairly aggressive. And Vu here. Let's see what it does with the ace-queen suited.
So he's so Alti is all in for just under 1.5 million. Dat Vu has just over 2.3. Which essentially, basically, would be all of his chips.
Yeah, this is one of the strongest hands that Vu's going to have here in the cutoff. And, you know, a lot of times you might be able to call it off here with the ace-queen suited, especially if you think the button is aggressive enough and Alti shoving, you know, some slightly weaker hands.
And what do you think, like, what percentage of time do you think that this hand even is played out like this? Like, you have a hijack open with tens and then ace-queen flats, you know, where a lot of times you're going to see a player decide to 3-bet that. And this hand probably plays a little bit differently because we probably see a 4-bet from jacks, right?
Exactly. I think Vu actually played this hand really, really well. It's a spot where Volpe is fairly short. You have some other, you know, middling stacks at the final table that you don't want to bust before. So definitely taking a slightly more conservative route, and that allows him to get away when a situation like this happens.
Yeah. Really interesting hand. He makes the call.
Ying calls it off here, and Alti is going to be at risk here versus our chip leader. Graphics say that he's only 12% to win the hand, and that might have been because another player folded a 10. King 9-3 on the flop, and Alti's going to need a 10 and only a 10 to stay alive here after the 8 on the turn. 6 on the river, and we lose Alti, Brian Altman, in 6th place. Unfortunate there for him to run into the hand that was one better than his. But still another great run in another big live tournament for Brian Altman, finishing in 6th place for $50,337.
And he will add to his total live earnings, which will put him over the 2.8 million mark.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate for him there. Would have loved to see him, you know, play some deep stack poker here at this final table.
I really would have loved to see his cards. That's the big part, seeing his cards, because yesterday in watching some of the bubble play, he was quite active.
For sure.
And that's the type of player that you would love to know what he has, just in every hand, just from a pure learning standpoint.
Yeah, all 5 players now guaranteed $60,404. So the next pay jump is to $76,830. See, all the middling stacks here, happy to see, you know, one of their fellow players get knocked out, get a pay jump, and I'm sure they would, they are quite pleased to not have to face the aggression of Alti here for the rest of this final table.
And just to give you guys some dates of some upcoming tournaments in case you would like to plan. The WPT Borgata Winter Poker Open dates have been announced recently, and they will take place January 15th through February 1st here at Borgata. That main event will be a $3,500 buy-in, I believe, as it usually is during the WPTs. And you can actually win your seat online to that $3,500 tournament on BorgataPoker.com in $535 satellites that will run generally a few weeks before the event. I did not win my seat, Ricky, for this main event, although I valiantly tried. I love satellites. Did you know that I love satellites?
I did. I see all of your tweets every single day for satellites into some big Borgata tournaments.
I have no shame. I'm a big believer in satellites. I think that satellites are the heart and soul of online poker, and they serve to better create and fund a greater poker population on a more mid-stake schedule, which I think is better for everybody. Amateurs, recreationals, professionals, more of a mid-stakes buy-in range.
For sure, and you'll be happy to hear that I did win a satellite online for my seat here to see this $2,700 final.
I did know that. I did know that. Congratulations. Keeping in line with the date announcement really fast, another date for you guys. Borgata is having a Deep Stacks Challenge that will run December 26th through the 30th. That's a really good week-long schedule of events, kind of a mid-range buy-in, usually about $200 buy-ins, but it's guaranteeing over $160,000 in prize pools, so definitely a good schedule to check out, and that schedule is up on the website at theborgata.com.
If you're free during your holiday break.
Yeah, holidays are good days for poker. They're also good for chess, too. A lot of big chess tournaments are held over holidays. So we just saw Matt, Wantman, Bucky having to limp fold 4-3 off. What are your thoughts, Ricky, on that kind of hand and this kind of situation? You are blind versus blind. Everybody's folded to you. You have a hand like 4-3 off. You have the most inexperienced player at the final table, but one who has arguably been one of the most active. What are your thoughts on that type of hand?
Yeah, I can definitely throw in some limps there. You know, some players would elect to just open fold just because you do have 4 highs and offsuit hand. It can be pretty hard to play post-flop, especially out of position. But Bucky very confident in his post-flop skills, I assume. So definitely want to play more pots with an inexperienced player. But we keep saying Vu's inexperienced, but he's been playing poker for over 14 years. You know,
well,
can't be unfair to him about.
I mean, 14 years in. I mean, he indicated 14 years, not professionally, but in home games.
I know some very good home game players.
Very good home game players.
That's where I got started as well, you know, playing some home games with friends.
He might have just said that, like, just to be funny, though, right? Like, maybe he's actually, like, playing some of the biggest games around, and he just doesn't want to tell us that, you know, so.
Vu from Denver, Colorado. Who knows? He might be playing some 1K, 2K game out there.
Exactly. There's a lot of money out in Colorado. So we see Wantman deciding to open the button here with 7-4 off. I would have liked to see a fold. What would you think he's kind of thinking when he's opening 7-4 off on the button into these players, into the chip leader?
Yeah, Bucky's definitely trying to be active here. Into Ying's big blind, though, being the chip leader, being someone who's playing, you know, fairly solid and going to defend his big blind correctly, I wouldn't have chose a hand as weak as 7-4 off to open.
I agree. Even 7-4 suited, I might just
exactly.
Like, you know, get rid of it. It's suited, but, you know, go away forever.
And getting punished here now with Ying 3-betting out of the big blind.
You know, I mean, to his credit, yes, he is attempting to be active, but he is actually being quite disciplined in his additional maneuvers, meaning he's really not getting out of line and continuing out of whatever frustration, or he is getting 3-bet a decent amount. He is having, you know, he's had to limp fold. We've seen he's, you know, having to fold post after, you know, being the opening aggressor. So he has shown quite good discipline, though, I would say.
If the other players at this final table start catching on that he's going to be playing some of these weaker hands, I expect them to adapt and punish him down the road.
Yeah, for sure. As we get even more short-handed, he might have to adjust that strategy somewhat.
Chat asking, is Altman's shove with the 10s correct? Yeah, perfectly fine shove. Definitely a winning play there for 35 big blinds. There's a lot of dead money in the middle once Vu decides to flat with the ace-queen, and Ying, being the chip leader, going to be fairly aggressive. Going to be squeezing hands that are even weaker than the pocket 10s of Altman. So definitely a fine play by him, and just very unlucky to run into the jacks of Ying. I have to say though, Ying has been getting some very good hands from the end of day 3 all the way to final table of 6 play here. Definitely has gotten aces a few times. He was the one that actually knocked out Dana Zenzo in 7th place here prior to our live stream final table, where he got aces versus the ace-10 to take the rest of Dan's chips.
Yeah, I was rooting for Dan also. Obviously, he's a friend of ours. We play online with him on BorgataPoker.com quite frequently, you and I, Ricky. And I was definitely rooting. That was another one I was rooting for. Great guy. Been playing a long time. Has been winning for a long time. Another one that would have been nice to see at this final table.
Yeah, so for everyone who's out there learning how to become very good at No Limit Hold'em tournaments, one of the best strats I can give is get good hands, especially at final tables. Bucky gonna see about the Jack-10 here with his Broadway draw and take it down. Paul's not shy of defending his big blind there with the 3 deuce. Adversity 45 says, want to see Paul with chips, and we do as well.
Hello, Adversity 45. Another player that we play with a lot online, Ricky.
Who's that?
Adversity 45.
Ah.
Only just about every night.
Hope he's going to be all in here, blind me blind with his king.
Oh, good luck. Oh,
he's going to run into the pocket 9s of Michael Glick.
This is not what I would like to see. I would like to see. I'm rooting for Paul.
Yeah, Paul shoving just about 11 bigs here with the king 4 offsuit. And there's a king on the flop. King 10-5 flop here for Paul Volpe, and he pulls way ahead. 6 on the turn, no help to Glick. Glick's going to need a 9 and a 9 only.
Somebody in chat wants him to get chips. He's going to get chips right now.
8 on the river, and Paul Volpe doubles up here.
Here we go.
Back to almost $1 million in chips now at this final table. Unlucky there for Glick to have Paul hit the king on the flop. And now it looks like he's going to be our shortest stack here at this final table.
And that's just how poker tournaments go sometimes, right?
Yeah, sometimes the money gets in. You just have to run the cards. So yeah, that's the power of, you know, shoving a hand like King 4, where a lot of times you're just going to get it through, pick up all the dead money in the middle, and when you do get called, you can just get there.
So interesting point that you bring up, Ricky, is you and I both have been deep in tournaments that are now using the big blind ante structure. Just most recently last week in the $300 150K that I final tabled here, we were quite short when we were shorthanded, and you know, it definitely adds a little bit of a different dynamic to the game that is changing the game a little bit. So when you, especially when you're blind versus blind with hands like, you know, King 4 offsuit, you know, how does that change ranges, in your opinion?
So in a format where they're using the big blind ante and a full big blind ante, even when it gets down to slightly shorter handed, there is more dead money in the middle compared to if everyone were to ante 5K at this level, right? Normally there would be about 25K in antes. Now there's 40K. So definitely want to be a little more active just because there's more money to win. And I personally am a huge fan of it, especially for live poker. Speed of play has definitely gone up.
Absolutely.
And
I'm also a big fan of it. I'm a huge fan of it. I wonder, though, if eventually they might make adjustments, especially at the final table. What do you think? Because it does change the game a little bit when you're shorthanded and a little shallower.
It does, but, through poker and I guess the history of poker, there are always going to be little things that are tweaked here and there, and it's up to the players to adapt to certain things. The best players will, notice how to adjust to a big blind ante. I'm sure there are some tournaments where, there aren't even antes back then, or ante-only tournaments where everyone has to make these adjustments.
And that's a great example, and that's how I've explained it to other people as well when they've questioned, why the change. And, and I've explained that same thing. There are tournaments, ante-only tournaments that even at the World Series they have. So this is just another example of not a variant of the game, but of a variant in the structure of how things, in order to make the experience better for everybody,
Exactly.
players especially.
99% of the things that you are going to do in a poker tournament are still going to be the same, whether you're using a big blind ante or a regular ante.
Correct.
You might have to adjust some ranges here and there, but in terms of how the game works and how the game is going to run, not really that big of a difference.
Now, you recently just had a few final tables out in Reno, right, for the Run It Up series.
Correct.
And were you playing Big Blind Ante out there?
We were. So all of the tournaments at Run It Up Reno were Big Blind Ante, and most of them were 8 max, something that I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I know Borgata here has, some of the kickoff almighty tournaments where it's 10-handed, and I personally think that's just too many players at the table.
Sure.
But out in Reno, we had 8 max for most of the tournaments, and a few 6 max tournaments as well. So it definitely sped up pace of play. You got to do more things. You're not folding as much when it's 8-handed, and it made for an overall better tournament experience.
Yeah, 8 max is amazing. I've said that many times. I said if every poker tournament I ever played for the rest of my life was an 8 max turbo, I would be a very happy girl. I love 6 max, obviously, but 8 max is just such a vast improvement over 9 and 10-handed poker, and I think everybody would agree with that.
So we're on this river here in the pot between Ying and Vu. Vu opened and Ying called from the cutoff with the king-queen suited, flopping top pair on the king-9-3. And Ying's going to call here on the river versus Vu's bluff and take down this pot. Yeah, Vu trying to fight for this pot here with this ace high. Might not necessarily be, ace high seems a little too strong to be bluffing on the river here. And looks like Ying was able to sniff it out and add to his chip lead. So yeah, back to the point. Now Borgata here runs some very, very big tournaments. There's, sometimes limited space. So I'm sure Tab and the rest of the staff have to, they've heard all the comments about whether or not to bring it down to like 9-handed or 8-handed play. And everyone does do their best to make sure the tournaments do go down to 9 or 8-handed as we get into day 2, day 3, and day 4 of these tournaments.
I think there is currently a deposit code out there, you guys, for BorgataPoker.com. Deposit match and a sign-up bonus. If you guys don't have a BorgataPoker.com account, please go and make one and get the free money. Why wouldn't you get the free money? And join us online every night. You'll see me there. You'll see Ricky there. You'll see Johnny Drama, Hebrew Hammer, You'll see my husband. You get to play with all of us. I had a nice gentleman come up to me on the rail the other day when I was playing the main event, and he came up to me and said, I play with you a lot online, and I really enjoy it. And I said, oh, well, that's great. Thank you so much. And I was wondering if it's because he just, like, owns me online. That's why he really enjoys it. I'm like, well, it's all right. And he was probably about 75 years old and really was very enthusiastic about his online poker play, and that was really nice to see because
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really nice.
You don't get too much of the older crowd playing online poker anymore these days,
but
so it's definitely nice to see.
It is really nice, and you have to think, you know, there's got to be all sorts of cognitive benefits as you get older. My grandfather was a lifelong chess player and, you know, passed away when in his late 90s, but he was still playing chess every day and was just a staple at his local chess club. And I have to think that assisted him in his longevity. So I think this guy is on the right track. You know, do something that nourishes your mind, and you'll live longer.
So we have Bucky 3-betting the small blind here with the ace-5 offsuit versus Glick, who opened off of a fairly short stack. Bucky putting in almost half of Glick's stack here on the 3-bet. Definitely a lot of pressure. And Glick will have to lay down the king-9. So there's stakes for everyone to play, you know, on Borgata Poker, anywhere from micro stakes to even free rolls to up to, you know, $500, $1,000 tournaments during a series. And then a bunch of satellites to live events such as a Borgata Fall Poker Open Championship. Recently played a satellite to WPT5 Diamond out in Bellagio in Vegas.
Which I won the 55 into the 535.
Exactly.
So and that's what the great thing is that you know you can win for a 535 ticket into a 2700 or 3500, but then also a few times a year BorgataPoker.com runs packages. So there's a 535 satellite into a 12K package, which sends you out to the 5 Diamond Classic in Bellagio in December. So, but if you don't want to pay 535, you can play a $55 satellite into the 535, and that's what I did.
Exactly.
I love those $55 satellites, and even if you're, you know, like not playing that many tournaments online, $55 is a really great way to just kind of get your feet wet and, you know, really kind of understand what online poker is all about. But yeah, like you mentioned, there's buy-ins from micros. There's even micro qualifiers. There's free rolls. And it's just a really great way to get experience and learn the game and get a lot of hands under your belt, which is the absolute most necessary part to improving in poker. Wouldn't you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. And how cool would it be if someone from playing on Borgata from a $55 satellite went on to win WPT 5 Diamond for $2 million?
I mean, I'll try. I already have my flight booked to Vegas, so assuming I'm going to be there. What's your next big event, Ricky? Your next big live? Anything coming up for you?
So I'll be going home back to New York for Thanksgiving, spend a little time with family. Then I'll be going out to California for a Run It Up event.
Nice.
I'm ambassador for Team Run It Up, and we have a mini series out in Stone's Casino.
Very nice.
We'll be doing that, and then a short flight to Vegas for WPT 5 Diamond at the Bellagio right after.
I will say I was really happy to see your recent signing as an ambassador for Run It Up. I was happy for you, but I was also happy for me because that means you are not in my player pool as much online. And that means I win more when you're not here. So I'm selfishly happy.
Yeah, for the last couple of months, I've been working with Jason Somerville and Team Run It Up. Been streaming on Twitch quite a bit, and we'll be going back to it right after this Borgata series. So hope to see some of my fans back there and some of the newer fans online.
Really cool group of guys that is there, right? Like all of those streamers.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of PokerStars Team Pros, a lot of guys who have been a staple on Twitch for the last few years. Got a chance to hang out and meet a lot of them while I was at Run It Up Reno. And a lot of big things to come in the near future for poker on Twitch.
Well, that's great. Speaking of star streamers, did you know that, because I think I saw Jamie Staples and Finton were at the Run It Up Reno event, but we all used to be, I mean, it's still there, nobody's talked in it for years, but a Skype chat pre-Black Friday, online poker back in 2009, 2010, when Jamie Staples was literally just learning poker. And I was grinding $11 tournaments, and Tonka, Tonka, he was playing 5K sit and go hypers, and Finton was grinding MTTs, and it was just like 10 of us in this chat. And so we go way back. So it's really cool to see those guys blossom, and as they've gotten older and more experienced in their careers, and they blossomed into the movers and shakers in the online streaming.
Were there any signs of them back then that they were going to become these big Twitch names?
No. I'm glad that Skype chats get erased after a certain amount of time, because they, it was early in Jamie's poker career, so he was like, I remember he would put these questions in chat like, hey guys, what do you do with ace jack offsuit, 25 big blinds, and then just leave it like right there. Like very, very basic questions like that. He was just learning how to play. But no, we never had any inclination that anybody was ever going to go on to become what they've become now. But it's nice because they clearly have a talent in the game, and they continued, and then they saw a need for something, a void that they filled and had the ability to fill. So it's nice to see that progression. And you yourself are filling that void as well. You're one of the only streamers here in New Jersey online poker, and it's a very, very much needed aspect of this, and you do a very good job.
Thank you.
And you actually stream on Twitch.
Are we going to see you in the Twitch streets anytime soon, Katie?
I don't think so. It's definitely I've been asked that multiple times, and I was in Vegas this past March playing a charity heads up event that was streamed by Jason Somerville and the crew for Matt Berkey's Solve for Why group out in Vegas. And one of my heads-up opponents was Hafu, who is she's like over 1 million followers on Twitter. She's an online gamer, and she told me a little bit about it and what it all entails, and it's quite a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and I didn't realize how much work it was. So kudos to all those streamers, because it's a lot of work outside streaming that people don't realize.
Yeah, I was pretty hesitant to do it for quite a while, and then when I first jumped into it, it was pretty overwhelming at first.
Yeah,
it's like normally when I play online, it's anywhere from like 6 to 15 tables, and adding open broadcast software and looking at Twitch chat, it's like adding another 6 tables to my daily grind. Yeah, this is the $2,700 Fall Poker Open Championship event. My name is Ricky, rated GTO Guan, and in the booth with me is BorgataPoker.com's very own Katie Stone. We are down to the final 5 here. All players are guaranteed $60,404. They're playing for a first place prize of $270,765.
Well, Bucky, just go ahead and flop the nuts.
It's a good strategy. Volpe catching a piece as well here. Flopping bottom pair. And he elects to bet here on this flop. Unfortunately for him, he's going to run into a very strong hand here by Bucky.
I like it.
The trap.
I like it. I like where we're going. Do you think he knows he has a spade in his hand?
I think he does.
How do you do that? Do you, like, when you look at your cards, do you memorize right away the spade of each suit?
Yeah, and then I double check again before we go to the flop.
That's exactly what I do. That's exactly what I do.
And I have friends who literally check on every single street.
Really?
Which is a little annoying, but hey, better to be safe than sorry.
Oy.
pretty poor run out
Not
here
the
by Bucky.
greatest. He's had some kind of yucky runouts.
Yeah, started off with the nuts, 3 flush on the turn, and now the 4 straight on the river. Bucky does decide to bet the river here, and Volpe can be unable to call with the 10-9.
So, Ricky, will you be here in January for the WPT?
I will. I have not missed a Borgata series since the start of my poker career.
Well, that's great.
I love coming back here to play. Literally, I would have to call my home casino at this point.
Absolutely.
I even got a place 20 minutes from here just so that I can be here for all the Borgata events throughout the year.
Yeah, there's so many great ones, and really, it's just great. It's a great place at any level or any stage of your poker playing, not career, but just enjoyment. You can right now. There's the final post-lim going on. I believe is a $200 or $300, 30 or 40K guarantee, and you don't have to play a $2,700 tournament. You can come and play a $300 tournament with an amazing structure and an amazing staff, and get your feet wet and practice, and then you can go online and play a $55 tournament.
And a lot of the guys who do come out here early in the series, have a very successful start and are able to find a way to either, win money in some of the prelims or a satellite into a big event like our championship event here.
So interesting hand.
Ace-King versus Ace-King here. Volpe opens the cutoff from his 20 big blind stack. And Bucky in the small blind here, I assume, will 3-bet the Ace-King suited.
And we will most likely just be seeing all 5 all at the same time, right? It looks like Paul Volpe just wants to recheck his stack a little bit. I do that too. Like when you know that you're in the 20 big blind range and you open and you're getting 3-bet, maybe sometimes a few hands have passed. Maybe you haven't counted your stack. I'm an online player. I'm constantly used to having it on a digital screen in front of me, so counting chips can be hard. And of course, he just shoves and gets called, and we'll hope for a chop pot because this is never fun to lose.
You're not hoping to see blood, Katie?
I really am not. Oh no, my God.
How about a sweat?
No, this is not what I'm hoping
How about a
for.
diamond on the turn?
Oh my goodness.
For the fans.
I mean, God. I feel sick.
Well, he's going to have to fade a club here on the river to stay alive.
And I haven't cheated. I don't even know what happens, but thank you.
All right, chop it up. No one likes to get free rolled in that spot.
That would have been, yeah. It's nice to see them laughing about it, though. It's only 70K. Say, who do you guys watching in Twitch, who do you think is going to win? There's 5 left, based on the chip stacks. Tell us who you think is going to win, like just prediction, like not who you want to win, but who you think is going to win. Now with Alti gone.
So we see Ying here with half the chips in play, 5-handed, 170 big blinds.
That's a lot.
It is.
Oh my goodness. That is a very, very deep final table.
Yeah,
Wow.
Glick here, our shortest stack with 12 big blinds. Glick has been fairly inactive here so far at this final table. We saw him getting into an all-in confrontation with Paul Volpe. His 9's losing to Volpe's King 4 offsuit. That led to him being short at this final table. Now we've seen Bucky open hands such as 7-4 off on the button, so don't expect him to be folding many buttons going forward. And Ying with another good hand here in the big blind with the king-jack off.
Kind of like the worst hand, the worst flop to imagine with king jack off right here. Right? Like just you're like, why did I even play my hand? Why am I in this spot?
So now the board 4 straights on the turn on the 7-6-5-8 board. Bucky still with bottom pair in the best hand. He's going to go for a stab here on the turn, though. And this might get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he figures that any 9 that Bucky had, he probably would have bet flop. So he can't be completely, you know.
Interesting to see Bucky peel the turn with the ace-5.
Completely dead.
And I'm not sure if Ying will continue to fire the river here. Bucky can still have some straights in his range. Can have some 2 pairs that now is a full house. And you're not getting those to fold. And you really don't expect Bucky to be floating any like ace-high hands that'll fold the river.
But he figures he could fold king high, maybe.
Ying will go for it here, putting on the pressure.
Wow.
I love to see the aggression. Bucky not folding immediately, though. This would be quite the hero call.
I will be so impressed if he makes this call correctly.
He's thinking, what can Ying have?
You can definitely have
It's hard to put Ying on king high here,
it's
though.
definitely, you can definitely have some 8s, too, right? Like,
Does Ying even bet for value on the river with an 8, though?
yeah. Yeah.
It's nice to see Ying recognize the spot. Hard for Bucky to have many straights, many full houses at this point, because Bucky will bet his 2 pairs and sets on the flop.
It's probably pretty much exactly what he's thinking right now, and he's moving in motion to your thoughts.
Those are calling chips, and he makes the call.
Nice.
He's going to see the king high of Ying.
And Ying just kind of nods and is
Yeah,
like,
he's a little shocked that he got called by a hand as weak as ace-5 here on the river.
Nice call, Bucky.
Wow.
There's an online player for you. Nice hand. Really interesting hand.
Are you referencing the fact that online players don't like to fold?
Maybe. Very good call. Very good call. I love seeing when they, you know, because, you know, a lot of, I would say the majority of tanks result in folds. Yes, you think, you know?
Right.
So it's nice when a tank, justifiably so, is a tank, and then he is rewarded. It's correct. It's nice. It's part of the beauty in the game, I believe. For me, at least, it is.
Maybe a little momentum shift there. You know,
Yeah.
Ying was accumulating very well here at this final table, and definitely showing that he's willing to go for it, especially double barreling the king high there. Now it might shift to Bucky a little. Bucky's already been very active here at this final table, and I can only imagine what a little more confidence will do to his opening ranges. Vu continuing his strategy of playing a lot of cold call here, this time with the ace-5 suited versus Bucky's cutoff open with the 10-9 off. Another big flop here for Bucky. He has an open-ender now on this King-Jack-8 board. Has backdoor hearts to go with it as well. He's going to like to put in the bet and take this one down.
And just so you guys know, there is an $89 room rate during the month of December for during the Borgata Deep Stacks. So make sure to take advantage of that. $89 room rates. You can check theborgata.com for more information in case you're traveling down to visit us in December for some Christmas time poker.
Johnny Drama says in chat, as an internet player, I'll have you know, I fold with the best of them. Everyone loves a good hero call.
They're beautiful.
Hello, Bob Brady says we are doing a great job. Thanks.
Hey, thanks, Bob.
Donate here earlier said, I'm going to take a wild guess and say the guy with 170 big blinds is going to win. That is a very educated guess right there.
Donate here. I assume it's the same donate here that we play with online very often on BorgataPoker.com as well. So hello to you if you are still watching. And I'll probably see you online tonight.
What's up, Melly? Hello, friend. Looks like we have another 3-bet pot brewing here. Bucky opening under the gun with the ace-jack off. Vu continuing his strategy of cold calling here, flatting the ace-10. And Ying coming in hot with the 3-bet with the king-queen offsuit. And looks like Bucky is going to go for it here. The warm 4-bet with the ace-jack offsuit. I love the aggression so far at this final table. Ying being the chip leader, noticing that Bucky's opening fairly wide, and Vu flatting a lot of hands in position. Very good 3-bet candidate with the king-queen. And Bucky, the 4-bet to 840,000 with the ace-jack offsuit. It's going to get the job done, taking down the pot pre-flop. Gotta say, I love the way Bucky's been playing so far. Putting on max pressure. Yes, he's opening a lot of hands, you know, maybe a little looser than most people would, but overall, it's been working out very well for him so far.
Yeah, Bucky also recently, in August, it looks like he won a PLO event down in Florida, a $2,600 buy-in for just over 70K. So he also is somebody at the table who is skilled at other forms of poker, and no doubt that helps him for sure. It's always nice to come off of wins like that. First place is really, it's really hard to get first.
What's up, my name ain't Earl?
Looks like Bucky, during the WPT championship event here at Borgata that's held in January, he looks like in 2016 he actually made this final table and finished sixth for $166,000. So
that was the final table that Chris Leong won, right?
That who?
Chris Leong.
Oh, right, yeah, another local.
Pretty sure Joe McKeon was at that final table as well. Yeah, Volpe opens the button here. Bucky shoves all in. And this will be the last hand of the level as we will take a short 10 to 15 minute break. Oh, hello guys.
Hi.
Welcome. Welcome into the booth with us. So yeah, pretty exciting final table here so far. Seen a lot of fireworks. Seen a lot of aggression from the players here. We did lose Brian Altman in 6th place. And we're down to our final 5. So yeah, short 10-minute break. Don't go anywhere. See you guys soon.
Welcome back, everybody. I am here with my friend Ricky Guan. My name is Katie Stone, and we continue. We are 5-handed in this immensely talented final table. We have 2 big stacks currently with 150 big blinds and 100 big blinds. And then we have somebody with 43 big blinds, and we have some kind of short stacks. So what kind of things can we expect to see as play continues here after break?
Yeah, we've seen Bucky, Matt Wantman here be very aggressive so far at this final table, and I would want to see him continue to take this trend. He now has over 100 big blinds going into 5-handed play here, and you know he's not been shy of battling with Ying, who is our current chip leader. And Michael Glick is our shortest stack here, under 10 big blinds, and Volpe's pretty short as well. So love to see more of Ying and Wantman battling it out. And we'll bring it back down to the table here very shortly for the action.
Yeah, interesting. Like you and I were talking earlier about the big blind ante in play, specifically for these stacks that are sub 20 big blinds. This has, with the escalating blinds, this has pretty severe implications for their stack and their playability post. So what kinds of adjustments do you think that we're going to see, if any, being that they are kind of in a severely danger range right now?
Yeah, I don't think the big blind ante has too much to do with how they should play their ranges. They would have to be paying the antes, you know, if it was normal ante throughout. But yeah, the short stacks here are definitely going to have to get their chips in. Everyone else other than
then Michael Glick here has to be aware that he is so short and is going to try and outlast him for, quite a significant pay jump here, over $10,000 pay jump from 5th place to 4th place.
Yeah, 5th right now is at 60K, and 4th is a $16,000 pay jump up to 76. And 3rd is 95, 2nd is 156, and 1st is 270K, and the trophy as we begin play. So blinds are 20-40 with the 40K Annie. And when the blinds come around and this 9 big blind stack is in the big blind, that's, I, as you, have been in that situation, and it's, can be not fun.
Yeah. Yeah, blinds are now up to 25K, 50K actually. So players are going to be pretty aware of Michael Glick's short stack. How was your break, friends? Did you guys enjoy all the nice food commercials that you saw here at Borgata?
We were actually eating that food that you watched on screen. We were literally speed eating our crab cakes and salmon, it looks like Ricky got, which that's a nice thing too about coming to play at Borgata, whatever type of event you're playing. You're playing a $200 deep stack like is going on right now that my husband is playing 20 feet from us, or you're playing a $2,700 tournament. You're at the main event, at the final table of the main event, and you're vying for 270K. There are options for everyone. There are fast options, there are medium options, and there are fine dining options. And it's nice to have that variety, especially when you're staying here for a while.
Yeah, definitely good assortment of food. Spent a lot of time, down in the food court where there are so many choices. You get a little $10 food voucher for playing Borgata tournaments when you make the dinner break.
And then you can, go buy a steak at Bobby Flay's. Or contribute to the tip.
That's usually my treat meal here.
Is it?
Yeah.
Your Bobby Flay?
After commentating here at the final table, throw down on Old Homestead or something and have a nice steak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's appropriate. Oh.
Michael Glick all in here in the cutoff with the Queen 6 suited.
And that was the 9 big blind stack, yes.
Mm-hmm. And I think he'll get looked up here by Ying in the big blind with the Ace 10.
Is that a in this, given the stacks and everything, 9 big blinds cut off, 5-handed?
Yeah, Glick is the shortest stack here. Queen 6 might be still a little too loose to be shoving. But, got to get your chips in sometime.
But what's 60K to a guy that plays a 5K, 10K mix? So,
So Glick's going to need to catch up here with the Queen 6.
Well, he certainly has a hand that can do it.
No help here on this 8-5-3 board. King on the turn is no help at either. And Glick's going to need a queen or a 6 to stay alive. 5 on the river, and we will lose Michael Glick in 5th place. Glick will take home $60,404. An impressive no-limit hold'em tournament run for this mixed game specialist. Nice of him to pad that Hendon resume with another no-limit hold'em cash. And Ying will add to his chip lead with the knockout here. Now down to 4 players, our final 4.
I did not realize that chess was one of Michael Glick's hobbies. I might have rooted for him slightly more. But yeah, Michael Glick is our 5th place finisher, originally from New Jersey, but is a Vegas resident now. He will take home just over $60,000. And we hope to see him back here at Borgata for another main event, like the one in January during the WPT.
Borgata runs a few big mixed game cash games throughout the year as well.
Yeah, weekends especially. Weekends, they can get up to 300, 600 mix and over. And even during the series, even January series, September series, I am not personally a 2550 PLO player. However, those games tend to run quite a bit during that time as well.
And Paul Volpe is a pretty big regular in those games as well, right?
Yeah, I definitely see him, and there's a few other guys that also come from the online days. Definitely a few of those guys that are pretty big regulars here at Borgata, playing all those mixed games. Very familiar faces here. Dat Vu has the first aces that have been dealt on the day.
For a sighting.
That's true, yep.
All right, so Bucky's been playing a lot of hands so far. And it looks like he's going to defend the 3-deuce offsuit.
Oh.
This is not going to be an easy big blind to steal, guys. No improvement for Bucky here with his 3 high.
Just so you know, Ricky, I'm always folding 3-deuce versus you online.
That's a lot of respect for me.
There was a few times last week where talking about the big blind Annie that I had to be all in with a 3 in my hand, and I really was not happy about it. But it just was, you know, it was short stack, and it was blind versus blind, and you know, it was just.
The trick is not to let yourself blind down to those situations, Katie.
That is, you know, listen, when you can say that you never get down to that stack depth, poker might not be for you. You might be able to do something a lot better.
Chris is asking, what are the Winter Open buy-ins like? So we have anywhere from $200 buy-ins up to the $3,500 WPT main. During the Winter Poker Open, it's usually the biggest Borgata series out of the 5 throughout the year. The $600 kickoff event is usually between a $1.5 million to $2 million guaranteed. That's played on the first week of the series. During the second week of the series, there is usually a $400 or $500 almighty stack, where you have a 100K starting stack, and there's about $1 million or more guaranteed on that event. And then the WPT main event is usually a $3,500 $3 million guaranteed. And that's going to be one of the first World Poker Tour events where you will play down to a final table and then get a nice little vacation to Las Vegas for that final table.
So we have an open, a 3-bet, or no, I don't know who opened there, but Bucky folded ace jack pre, essentially. Yep. And speaking about the Winter Open events, I actually went and was chatting with Tab on break, who is our tournament director here at Borgata, and he was telling me that the schedule is currently, the absolute schedule is being finalized, and that opening event will be on the juicier end of the guarantees. So even though everything is not out in writing yet, we can assure you that it will be a very, very fun and high guarantee opening event.
Yeah, so in that previous hand, Bucky opened the ace-jack offsuit from the small blind into Vu's big blind, and Vu electing to just 3-bet shove the pocket nines. Definitely a lot of chips to put in the middle, but
How many big blinds? How many do you jam for?
about 40 big blinds in
40
that
big
spot.
blinds. Oh wow, that is a lot. What would you have preferred him to do? What do you like to do on that stack depth? 40 big blinds, blind versus blind. Somebody's opening into you. You have a decent size pair.
It's interesting because Paul Volpe is pretty short here, and it's a spot where, you know, nines is going to be the best hand very, very often. Right. But do you really want to be, you know, having your tournament life at risk if you decide to, you know, 3-bet call a hand like pocket nines? So definitely an interesting dynamic at final table specifically, where you do have to worry a little bit about the pay jumps. You know, you have an opponent who is slightly shorter stacked, so either play would have been fine. Versus an aggressive player like Bucky, I might have elected to, you know, 3-bet to a slightly smaller size and call it off. You know, maybe he'll be a little aggressive with some smaller pocket pairs, you know, some like ace-5 suited kind of hands, where I'll be getting it in very, very good with nines.
3-betting to induce.
Exactly. But perfectly fine, I think, for him to shove there with the pocket nines for 40 bigs.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned that because I thought about that, the 3-betting small as to induce. But, Bucky really hasn't been getting out of line, so I'm not
I
sure.
don't know about that. Bucky has been the one that's getting most out of line.
Yeah, I mean, aside from like
table.
the opening or whatever, but he hasn't been like making these like over bet jams, like, ridiculously getting his money in the middle in bad spots or anything like that. And he hasn't been calling like very light. He hasn't been making frustration calls or anything. So yeah, like even though he's might be getting out of line, I prefer that he's getting out of line as like a button open, small blind aggressor kind of thing. But he's not paying off. That's
Exactly.
kind of what I mean is.
Yeah, Vu had that like 30 to 40 big blind stack where you will have some 3-bet calls, and 9's definitely a hand that kind of fits into that category where you do want to get all the money in, either with an all-in or with a slightly smaller 3-bet. Looks like Ying's all in here with the 9-3 suited, putting on max pressure to Paul Volpe. Volpe with an interesting decision here with the King-6 suited. He is the shortest stack, but electing to fold that time.
You guys are watching the Borgata Fall Poker Open Championship Final Table, a $1 million guaranteed main event with a $2,700 buy-in. My name is Katie Stone. I'm here with Ricky Guan, and we're enjoying our time navigating this final table with you guys. I always like to think of what I would do in these spots if I was in this spot someday, and so I think this is a great learning experience to be able to watch this in real time, these players playing for this amount of money and being able to see the whole cards. And wow, we have 3 pairs again. This is like the first hand of the day.
So yeah, Vu opening under the gun, also known as the cutoff when we're 4-handed with the pocket 8s. Ying flatting with the pocket 4s, and Volpe waking up with a very nice hand here. Pocket 10s in the small blind for 10 bigs. He'll be all in. Decision goes back to Vu here, and looks like he's grabbing calling chips. Calls very quickly here. And now Ying has a pretty interesting decision here on the button, getting a fairly good price to call here. And he's going to lay it down this time, avoiding the confrontation with 2 bigger pairs. So Paul Volpe is the player at risk here, but a very big favorite with his 10s versus the pocket 8s of Vu. "6-5-5" flop. No help to Vu. Does have backdoor hearts and some straight draws. Jack of clubs is not going to add any additional outs. 3 on the river, and Paul Volpe will double up once again here at this final table. Back over 1 million chips.
He's been here a few times before.
He has. No excitement, no fist pump. Just business as usual for Paul Volpe.
Another win at the final table. Another double up. Players right now are guaranteed $76,000, with the next pay jump being about 20K, 95,000. Then it goes up to 156 and 270.
T Grinder says, "Nice commentary. Keep it up." Thanks, friend.
Thank you. Ricky and I are actually standing. Ricky had this wonderful suggestion that we not sit. So we're standing.
So yeah, throughout all the broadcasts at Run It Del Reno, we had this really high booth up, and Jason did not want to sit for most of it. And you know, for myself, it was like, oh, I feel a lot more energetic when I'm standing. We'll see what happens 8 hours down the road, but as for right now, I enjoy standing while doing commentary these days.
I do too. I like it. This is the first time I've done it, and I jumped on board when he said, I'm going to stand today. I said, oh, well, I think I will too, which you know, it's better for your back too. With as much online poker as we play, we sit enough. Also at live poker, with enough live poker, your back can definitely get sore. So I know actually quite a few online players that play standing too. I think B. Paris plays with a standing desk. A few other notable players.
I think one of the most exciting streams that I've had so far in the last few months was on my birthday, where I was back home in Brooklyn. I had my standing desk, and I was on like 1 hour of sleep in the past 48 hours, and I was like, I need a stand to do this. And it was definitely one of the most exciting streams that I've had. Definitely feel a lot more energetic when I'm standing.
Yep, pure adrenaline. So we have a couple of raggedy hands in the blinds. Surprise, surprise. And it looks like Dat limped. Wenhao raised, and Dat is going to fold.
Yeah, Jack 4 off a pretty weak hand here to be calling out of the small blind. And Ying immediately putting pressure on.
What kinds of, in this type of scenario, you're Wenhao Ying, you've got the chip lead. What kinds of hands do you think he is doing that with? Is he doing that with range? Is he doing that with, you know, anything with a queen in his hand, or?
Yeah, I typically wouldn't use like some of those middling hands like Queen 8. You know, kind of pretty tough to get 3-bet if Vu decides to limp 3-bet against you. And you're going to play pretty well post-flop. You're going to be able to keep a lot of dominating 8x and Queen X in your opponent's range. So I personally would not have isolated, you know, Queen 8 in a regular chip EV spot. But because we're at a final table and we have the chip lead and Vu, you know, is one of those middling to short stacks, definitely good to start applying a lot of pressure with an expanded range. It's our boy Clutch J in chat.
So now, interesting, the exact same situation, small blind, big blind, where Wenhao actually limps the Jack 4, and Paul Volpe just decides to check the Queen 10 back instead of ISOing. So interesting choice of a difference in style.
Exactly.
Difference in stack sizes too, right?
I'm a little surprised that Ying is limping into Volpe's big blind. Might be out of a little respect to Volpe that he's going to be able to defend fairly well. Jack 4 offsuit's not going to play particularly well post-flop. So I personally would have liked to seen him apply pressure by raising. He's just going to take down the pot very often by raising as the chip leader here.
Yeah, we haven't really seen any folds blind versus blind, have we? Like just open fold, small blind open folding. We haven't seen that, which is interesting.
Definitely has to do with the fact that the big blind ante is in play now. We're shorter handed, so it is a very big ante that's in the middle, and everyone's getting a fairly good price to call when they're in the small blind. Ying decides to take a stab on the turn. Volpe calling with his queen high and gutter. Now improving on the river queen. It is a third heart out on the board now, and the river now does 3 straight. So yeah, Ying known to be fairly deliberate with all of his actions throughout the last couple of years that I've played with him, but hasn't been taking too much time with his actions so far here at this final table.
he does decide to bluff the river here. And Volpe in a pretty tough spot with the queen 10.
Yeah, I think he just has like one of the best live presences I've ever seen. He's just always so relaxed and just confident in what he's doing.
He's put in a very tough spot here, though. Even though he improved on the river, you know, not really liking that the board 3-flushed or 3-straighted.
He calls river.
He does sniff out the bluff from Ying.
Nice hand.
This is the second time that we've seen someone make a correct hero call on the river versus Ying.
So
hopefully that doesn't stop him from continuing to apply the pressure.
But he obviously is cognizant of the fact that he has now shown down 2 river bluffs. So, and these players won't forget that likely. Looks like some pretty awesome events are coming up here at Borgata. Sublime, Piff the Magic Dragon, Bill Burr, Craig Ferguson. Looks like some cage fighting maybe. You can check out the Borgata.com for all the upcoming events here.
What's up? I got a banana.
Dat Vu, kings.
First aces, now kings.
First aces and then kings. Yep. That's probably the first time we've seen kings too, right? Yep.
No action for him this time, however.
You know, I just realized this week that I didn't realize until Monday that Thanksgiving was this week. That's what happens when you play too much live poker.
Yeah, it's tomorrow, actually.
It is tomorrow, exactly. I did not, thankfully, my in-laws are very good at having all those things covered, but...
yeah, typically Borgata main events start day 1A on Sunday and day 1B on Monday, with the final table live streams on Thursday or Friday. But because of Thanksgiving, we actually moved day 1A up to Saturday this time. And we were able to get this live final table stream broadcast to you guys on Thanksgiving Eve.
Typically, the final table stream is also later on in the day, too. We usually start, you know, around 6 or 7 or so. And so they moved it up to noon. Or sometimes it starts at 2.
Remember last fall, I was in the booth for Darren Elias's win, and we were here very, very late, and I didn't get home for my Thanksgiving break until after midnight.
You know what's funny is I won the post-slim that was taking place here in the signature room at the exact same time. So my table was right at the front of the signature room, my final table, and Darren's table was right behind me, and he was winning the WPT. And I was winning a fall deep stack tournament, like a $300 tournament. So I got to watch, and the big screen was with the cards was where I could see it. So I was able to like watch, you know, the final table, and it was pretty cool. And then it was nice to share the blog, you know, first.
Sounds like Katie has had quite a few Borgata scores.
You know, I've had a few in the past. I didn't even realize it. I saw on the blog that I recently became the second woman to have 3 first place finishes.
There we go.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. Nobody even told me. It was just in the blog, which is kind of cool. And only in the past 16 months, by the way. Which
shout out to the bloggers here at Borgata.
Yeah, the bloggers are pretty amazing. We have Kayleen here, Chris Murray, Tim Kelleher, and then obviously Al Can't Hang is usually here too. I believe he's in Florida right now though. But we have some amazing bloggers who really love the players and work harder than anybody actually.
Yeah, the media team is sometimes here until 6, 7, 8 a.m. to cover some of these longer one-day events.
Easily. So our chip leader has a big hand.
Ying opening the button, Ying in the small blind here versus Vu's button open with the pocket kings. do expect Ying to 3-bet here, and it's going to be very interesting what Vu will decide to do versus a 3-bet off of his about 25 big blind stack here. Volpe gets out of the way, and the action's now back on Vu with the 8-7 suited. Very small 3-bet here by Ying, out of position. Really leveraging Vu's stack here, knowing that he can't peel too many hands off of this stacked up.
Wow.
Looks like he'll lay down the 8-7 suited. Pretty tough fold there, in my opinion, with a hand that nice.
Yeah, I'm impressed with that. Yeah, that's. You think he should call, or you think it's?
It's close. He's getting such a good price with such a nice hand, and you do expect Ying to be 3-betting quite a bit. You know, leveraging the fact that both Volpe and Vu are both short stacked here. So 8-7 suited for that price, probably not going to be a fold.
Maybe he would prefer to have like a 9 or 10 in his hand in order to to call to continue.
It's tough. Yeah, high card value definitely matters more. You're able to make more top pairs when you peel hands like, some of those Broadway suited connectors compared to 8-7. But, sometimes that can get you in trouble as well, where your opponent has a more dominating hand.
Sure.
You can continue to get good cards here. Pocket 5s now on the button. It's not fair sometimes when the chip leader gets good hands.
Well, yeah. You know what, though? Really impressed with these players, right? Like really, especially the players that we don't know very much about, just really good instincts, intuition, like you said, just very on point, and yeah, definitely impressed so far with these players.
Yeah, Ying looks very relaxed for his first big final table, and definitely making some very good decisions out there so far.
Yeah, this is very good poker.
And we kind of knew that coming in. Pretty star-studded final table.
Sure.
There's definitely going to be some very good play throughout this final table. Adding a gutter to his pocket 5s on this 6-4 deuce board. Does elect a c-bet, and knowing Bucky, who's been pretty sticky here so far, I do expect him to float with the king-queen high. Try and peel one off here on the turn. To a turn we go. 5 on the turn, and Ying now has a set of 5s, but we are now 4 straight on the board.
It's never easy, is it?
Yeah, any 3 makes a straight. 8-7 is now the nuts. So even though Ying's hand has improved, board has definitely gotten a little wetter. Oh, look at Bucky coming in with the lead. Seen him do a little bit of this yesterday as well, where he's leading on some turn cards that he thinks might be a little bit better for the hands he's defending out of the big blind. King-queen offsuit, though, definitely an interesting choice to do it with. Almost looked like Ying was about to fold for a second there. I was
just like, wait a minute, did I get the hands reversed?
Just double checking. So yeah, Ying's not going to go anywhere here with the set. Can definitely still have the best hand, and if not, can definitely improve on a lot of rivers.
For Bucky's sake, I hope the river is not a king or a queen, but it wouldn't matter.
Deuce on the river, one of the best rivers in the deck for Ying. What is Bucky going to do now? He does check. Basically signaling that he's giving up on the hand.
Yeah.
But with Bucky, you never know.
What is your, so in a hand like this, what's your sizing now? Because he obviously wants to get value from his hand. So pot's just under $1 million. And Bucky's got about 3.2 back. So do you size down hoping for some kind of weird call, or do you just...
Definitely a mix of sizings that you can use on this river here. You're still going to have a lot of overpairs that bet the flop and now call the turn, and still want to be able to get value on this river versus some of Bucky's, 6x, even 5x kind of hands. And then you're going to have hands as strong as pocket fives here, where, can very likely go for a very large bet.
Sure.
So yeah, on this run out versus Bucky here, definitely going to be using a mix of different sizings.
And I love how, and how you just explained that. I love how poker has evolved to accept that, versus, of the past, there were a little bit more stricter mindsets,
How
as
so?
far as sizing and, like you should always, bet a certain size, or always bet a X percentage of the pot or whatever. And now it's a little bit more widely accepted for all options to be on the table for everything, as long as there is merit.
Exactly. As long as you can justify
as long as you
your
can
play in some
justify
way.
it. I had many of my hand history review sessions with my coach where he might disagree with a play, but he likes my reasoning. So he'll say, I wouldn't have done this myself, but I understand your reasoning and I agree with it. So this one is okay. Whereas instead of just making a bad play with no thought involved.
Sounds like you have a pretty nice coach. A lot of my coaches say, no, you're wrong. You can't do that.
Well, listen, my coach said no to me for a solid year. So it was a lot of no's before there were some okays.
Yeah, a lot of the guys that I work with, and even some of my friends that I study with, a lot of times when I do something that's, not quite optimal, they're like, what are you doing? This isn't a thing. You're not allowed to do this.
So stacks have shifted a little bit, but I'd like to see Volpe double up to get a little bit more in contention for. And somebody mentioned in chat that, who can afford to play a $2,700 tournament? And that's a very, very valid point. A lot of people can't afford to buy into a $2,700 tournament. I certainly cannot afford to buy into a $2,700 tournament. And that's why there's satellites. There are abundant numbers of satellites on BorgataPoker.com. You can satellite in for even as little as $5. You can play a 5 into a 55, a 55 into a 400 or 535, and then the 400 or 535 into the main event. And I think last you and I were here during the WPT final. Half the final table satellited in.
That's right. If you guys haven't noticed, Katie loves talking about her satellites, especially here at Borgata Poker.
Listen, I work very hard on these satellites, and we work very hard to ensure the structures and the buy-ins and the amount of buy-ins, and we work very hard to protect the economics of an online poker community, because we realize that not everybody has unlimited bankrolls, and so we do our best structure-wise and starting stack-wise and tournament duration-wise and blind levels. We're constantly examining these things to better ensure that players are getting the most for their money. And that's one of the reasons our nightly 10K with a 50K starting stack is limited to 3 buy-ins, because we aren't trying to suck the poker community dry. We want the players to be able to play and be able to come back and win and enjoy online poker.
Is it possible for us to see even more satellites on BorgataPoker.com in the next couple of months?
Definitely. I think starting in January, I think we're going to be offering a lot of satellites and maybe even some additional ones into the main event. always looking at the frequency and what the best time is to run them and when. So, and that's the other great thing about our New Jersey community is we have a really great relationship with the players, and pretty much whatever the players want, they get. They think that something starts too early or it's too late or is a really bad, whatever. If something's not playing deep enough at the final table, you let us know, and you guys let us know if you want to see a tournament. If you think there should be a $55 turbo at 2:30 in the morning, send me a message on Twitter. If you can show me that there's interest, we'll do it. We'll put it in there. So we're just pretty much just here for the players, and there's no other online poker network that has that relationship on such a ground level with the players. We're directly accessible to all of our players, and that's something we take great pride in.
So if I put in the request for some more high stakes buy-ins on Borgata Poker, you can make it happen.
I can try. I would have to make a case for it because the higher buy-ins are tough. I know you love the higher buy-ins. Because you win them most of the time. But the higher buy-ins are a little tough just because it caters to a smaller subset of the online regular. And so that's why an abundant satellite structure is important.
But like you said, more higher buy-ins means more satellites, and you love those.
I know, I do. But yeah, it's I do think we are going to be re-examining our nightly structure for 2019, and we're like I said, it's something that we're constantly talking about, constantly reevaluating. Somebody asked me who my coach is. I actually have two coaches. I have one coach, Michael Gagliano, Gags 30, who
shout out to
quite
Gags.
well, and my other coach is Matt Berkey, Berkey 11. Quite a big gap in personalities, but that is by design. Works for me.
Yeah, and two kind of like polar opposite ends of like the poker spectrum in terms of these days. Gag's very fundamentally sound, does a lot with theory and the math side of things, and you have Berkey on the other end of the spectrum who is really good at exploiting his opponents, especially in live play.
Absolutely, yeah. They definitely have different talents and different strengths. Gags is probably one of the best out there as far as fundamentals, and just somebody who's been around for a very long time, and is also a BorgataPoker.com sponsored pro. And then Matt Berkey, nosebleed cash game player. Actually, though, goes back to the online grinder days with Paul G's Berkey 11. Berkey was one of the only reg in high stakes MTTs back there who was limping. This is like back in 2009, 2010. Nobody was limping in the $100 rebuys. And he was limping, and he's still limping. But now everybody's limping. But yeah, Berkey definitely kind of just like more so like teaches you how to think. Just kind of more on the cerebral realm. And Berkey has his Solve for Why group. Somebody mentioned that in the chat. Yeah, Solve for Why is amazing. If you guys haven't checked that out, they run some academies and they have some great content on YouTube, and highly recommend you guys check it out. It's a great group of guys.
What's up, getting money? Exclamation point always. Who here at this final table has always had it so far? Yeah, back down to the action here now. Ying now approaching 7 million in chips. Opening the 8-4 suited from the button. And Volpe with a very pretty hand in the small blind with a 9-8 suited. Little does he know, Bucky in the big blind is sitting with a monster. The ace-king suited. Wow, Volpe deciding just to fold with the 9-8 suited from the small blind. Definitely on the tighter side with that decision.
Sure.
But Maybe he was sensing a little danger from behind here.
He's about 30 big blinds effective.
Yes. Bucky's going to proceed with a 3-bet here. Now, while 8-4 suited, suited hands look very, very nice, going to be pretty hard to try and navigate 8-high post flop here. Ying does elect to let it go, and Bucky is going to shorten that gap a little between himself and the chip leader. Bucky's also known in the poker community for his amazing chip stacking ability. Definitely see some nice designs from him over the past couple of years. I'm a little sad that he's going with just the standard tower of chips that he has right now.
Yeah, yesterday I saw on Anna Antimony's Instagram. Anna Antimony, obviously our recent winner of the Almighty Stack for an impressive, 95K or something? Or
yeah, she's definitely put up some impressive results over the last couple of years.
I saw her Instagram where she was also deep in this tournament, and Bucky was at her table, and she just had a very funny, not nice thing to say about the way he was stacking his chips, and it made me laugh out loud, quite frankly. So we're not the only ones that have observed that. His chip stack was quite obnoxious yesterday, though.
I like it, though. Adds a little flavor.
That's very true. You don't see many people doing it, very much anymore.
Look at him, very conscious of keeping his stack very neat right now.
Is he the kind of guy that, actually puts his laundry in the hamper and, not on the floor in his room? I wonder.
I would imagine so.
I mean, based on this, yeah. That's a keeper then, A guy that puts his laundry in the hamper? It's amazing. And here he just picks up 2 queens. Just 2 queens.
And he's been opening a lot of hands so far. So anytime Bucky gets a strong hand to work with, it's going to be pretty dangerous.
And it could just look like, he's four-handed, he's opening up, he's using his stack, but he's actually picking up hands to put these, 3-bets in with, opening hands. And then he shows, because he's showing exactly that. He's like, look, I'm not bullying you guys or whatever. Or he's showing because he's showing, he's just like, wow.
Most players who show their good hands are players who are very aggressive and very rarely have good hands. So trying to buy a little image here.
Such an
from
oddity.
Bucky.
Somebody says in chat, Bucky 100% does not put his laundry in the hamper. Well, darn. You just, burst my bubble.
Volpe has millions. Does he care about ICM here? I think when you play tournaments as a professional, you're still trying to make the very best decisions that you can. Yes, it might not be so much about the money, but it's a professional thing to do to try and make the very best decisions that you can.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and it's, the way I look at it is it's all practice, right? It's all refinement of your craft on a greater scale. So anytime you can continue to make these decisions that you're comfortable with and that you stand behind and you feel like you played the hand well, even if you get unlucky, Paul Volpe is somebody who will probably play the 50K, this summer. So he will be in an ICM spot that's much more significant than he's in now. And so it's, regardless of how good he is, it's still always good to have this practice and be able to make these decisions consistently for huge amounts of money, life-changing money for most of us.
For sure. And what a summer Paul Volpe did have. Final tabling multiple WSOP World Series events. He got 3rd in a 10K bounty. He got 2nd in the 10K 6 max. and also winning another bracelet in the 10K Omaha 8 or better this
What a
year.
beast. And how far back do his results go? Just I always like to do that, like on a Hendon mob. Like what's the earliest result of somebody on a Hendon mob?
Paul Volpe's Hendon dates back to like 2008, where it was in a small circuit event here in Atlantic City. Nice little $1,200 cash on the resume.
Just getting started.
Paul Volpe doesn't even play $1,200 tournaments anymore.
Well, he probably plays 1Ks online, you know, like when he travels, you know. So that's his minimum. We recently had a 1K online on BorgataPoker.com during our GSSS series that I won my seat for in a satellite.
We need more of those. Can we get one of those every single day, please?
A 1K?
Yes. I have players who are ready to fire it in there.
You would deplete the player pool, much less the much less all the money.
It's definitely nice to see some of those bigger events throughout the year, though. All right, maybe I'm getting a little too far. Maybe one every Sunday is good.
One every Sunday. There's not
Yeah.
even one anywhere else every Sunday.
But that's what you got to do. You got to set yourself apart from your competitors.
Yeah, that's true.
Ying here, rivering a full house. Just getting there on the river versus Bucky here. Spot started with Ying opening the button and Bucky defending the big blind. Bucky flopping trips while Ying flopped 2 pair. And quite the run out by Ying here. Bucky is deciding to check the river now after betting the turn. And I expect Ying to put in a pretty hefty bet here, trying to get value with his full house.
Just another full house, four-handed at a final table.
Ying going with a very small size here on the river. We've seen a trend of him betting small with a lot of his bluffs, and now this time balancing it out with some value here. Unlucky run out here for Bucky. Looks like this round is going to go to Ying. Paul Volpe has millions because he cares about ICM. It's true, and also because he's better than most players who enter a tournament.
Paul Volpe, I used to live in Mexico post Black Friday, so my 2012 New Year's celebration was just a few of us in actually one of their villas in Rosarito, Mexico. It was me, Paul Volpe, 3 or 4 other people, and that was we just did our own little New Year's dinner. We had some little streamers. No online poker, believe it or not, but that was that was New Year's 2012 in Mexico. Just a bunch of poker players and.
I thought about moving to Mexico
Yeah.
last year as well.
Yeah.
I had like the option of going to Canada, Mexico, somewhere close to like the United States where I can play regulated online poker. But I settled for here in New Jersey. It was close to home, to New York. And I got a chance to play on multiple sites here. Action was really good, and I've been very, very happy with my decision so far.
Yeah, I think that was a good decision too. I think Canada has. I mean, there are enough party poker events in Canada, and then we also have, as you know, a lot of satellites online. Well, not a lot, but a few times a year, BorgataPoker.com will run satellites into packages for
Correct.
larger buy-ins. In Party Poker Live has a series. I actually won my package for the Montreal event last April online, and you know, you can always mix in trips. You know, take a few weeks instead of like win your seat and then just go there for like 3 weeks or something, and then you get a taste of, you know, ROW poker, and you know, either win a house, lose a house, and then come back to New Jersey.
True.
One of those two.
Might do it for something like Scoop next year, where I get a chance to stream some bigger buy-ins on Twitch.
Have you ever played ROW Scoop?
I've not.
You haven't? Oh. I remember the days. Oh, boy.
I cannot wait to torch $100,000 in 3 days.
I remember my most vivid memory of Scoop is T-Coop. The
Turbo
events.
version. Oh.
But being in Mexico on the West Coast, during the big series, they have to stagger the start time. So I remember having to set my alarm for 2:30 in the morning sometimes, being on the Pacific Coast. And when regulated poker happened in New Jersey and the start time was 7 o'clock at night, that was much better.
Sure. So you have Volpe opening the sixes here. Bucky 3-betting the King 4 suited. Getting a little spicy with the King 4. And Volpe just shoves and gets this one through. So you have Volpe in that previous pot, noticing that Bucky has been getting a little out of line lately. So with the hand, you know, that might be a little marginal with pocket sixes. Definitely goes up in value versus a very aggressive opponent. Easy Money's asked, did I play in this? I did. I satellited my way in online and spun that $400 seat to a over $5,000 cash in this tournament. Made day 3, but unfortunate to bust out then. The Borgata main has treated me very well over the last couple of years, though. A lot of my results have been from this series and from this particular tournament. So I cannot wait to be back here again in January to play the WPT version of it during the Winter Poker Open. Another blind v blind spot where Ying decides to limp the small blind with a hand very, very strong, the King-Queen suited. Checks on both the flop and the turn, and Volpe takes a stab with the 3 deuce. Volpe knowing that he can't really win at showdown with the 3 high here. And Volpe decides to give up on the river. Pretty bad card for Volpe to bluff, as when Ying calls the turn, the 10 is going to improve his range quite a bit. So you guys are watching the 2018 Fall Poker Open Championship event. This $2,700 buy-in event had a total of 437 entrants. And we are now down to our final 4. Brian Altman, Alti, was our 6th place finisher, taking home $50,337. Michael Glick was our 5th place finisher, taking home $60,404. And all 4 of our final players here are guaranteed $76,830. The next page jump to third will be 95,375. And our final four is playing for a first place prize of over $270,000. Ying opening the button here with the A7 offsuit. Bucky defending. I don't think we've seen Bucky fold the big blind yet. Looks like Ying's going to take a stab here. It's going to work. All smiles for Ying so far at this final table. Continuing to chip up and inch closer and closer to his first ever Borgata title. Pretty awesome spot for Ying early here in his poker career. He's a student from China who goes to school in New York and travels down here to Borgata to play some of these bigger events, plays cash a lot of time here at the Borgata. And over the past year of traveling to play tournaments, he's had, quite a bit of success. Got third in a $5,000 buy-in event at the Seminole Hard Rock, where he was up against some pretty stiff competition for over $60K there. So he's already exceeded his largest ever live cash with his finish here in the Borgata main event. What is the language at the table? They are speaking English. Looks like we have an all-in confrontation here. Volpe versus Dat Vu here.
Heart?
And looks like Vu will double up here off of Volpe. Very short stack to start the hand. At under 10 big blinds. And his ace-10 is going to hold up versus Paul Volpe's 8-7 suited here. Here we go, Vu, all smiles as well. Already getting a few pay jumps, staying alive here in this tournament. This is his first ever live cash. How awesome is that? The first ever Hendon score, and it's going to be for at least $76,000.
That's pretty impressive. Do you know somebody who has a more impressive first-time Hendon mob score?
Who would that be?
That would be the infamous Ben Wilanowski, Never Scared B.
Ah.
His very first Hendon mob was an EPT win.
Goodness.
For like over $1 million or something. Very, very first. And obviously he'd been playing a lot of poker before that, you know. Never Scared B online. Very legendary online poker player.
I'm rooting for Vu to stick around a little longer here.
Yeah, I agree. I like him. I think he's got some talent.
Brian Dennis asks, who's commentating? My name is Ricky Rated GTO Guan, and alongside me in the booth here tonight is BorgataPoker.com's very own Katie Stone. This is our second time in the booth together.
Second time, yeah. I enjoy being in booth with you. I hope we can do it every time.
Absolutely, yeah. We did the WPT Borgata Poker Open final table a couple of months ago with Alex Rocha. That was a lot of fun. I feel like I've been doing Borgata final tables for over a year now.
Yeah, you've done like 5 or 6 of them now.
So yeah. Oh, hey, there we are.
There
hey
we
guys,
are.
hello friends.
Looks like we're taking a little break. Players are going to take a 10 to 15 minute break, and when we come back, it looks like I guess blinds will be 40. Is it 40-80 or 30-60?
It's gonna go to 30-60. Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna take a 5-minute break,
minutes.
you guys. 5
Yep.
minutes.
See you back here soon.
See you in a few. Hey guys, we are back and still four-handed here at the championship event of the Borgata Fall Poker Open. $2,700 buy-in, $1 million guaranteed. First place is a cool $270,000 and that beautiful Borgata trophy that should have Christmas lights on it. I think they should make those beautiful glass trophies, and I think they should put Christmas lights around this time of year. It's not hard to put neon on anything. It could be like a nightlight, you know, like in your house. It's very well equipped to display something. So I think they should just add like a strip of neon to the base. I know, I'm insane. I also have Christmas lights in my house year round. So
I think the Borgata staff is going to take that idea into consideration.
man, wonderful. You see, the players get what they want.
But we might have to add $10 and rake to every tournament that you guys play from now on.
Or no more food vouchers.
And no food vouchers.
Listen, I'd be willing to, I'd give up the food voucher for the neon trophy.
What's up, D-Suds? Hello, Stan. Melly's back in chat. Awesome to see a bunch of familiar faces from my own chat here on Twitch. Definitely a different feel to things, from streaming poker myself to being in a commentary booth.
Oh yeah, how so? What do you notice?
I feel like when I'm doing this, it's more about the other players and like the action that's going on. Whereas when I'm streaming myself, definitely more chat interaction, trying to just be the entertainer, and also having to focus on playing poker.
Sure.
Because usually I have anywhere from like $5,000 to $10,000 of buy-ins on the screen, and it's like
Sure.
I actually have to think about the decisions that I make.
Do you find that though when you stream whatever table you're streaming, because you're having to talk through and explain your decisions, do you find that you play better? Or is it a distraction?
At this point, because I'm so used to it, it's not as much of a distraction. But in the very beginning, I would say, because there's so much going on, I have to interact with chat. I have to make sure that my broadcasting software isn't going haywire.
Sure.
That definitely a lot to worry about. But very comfortable with it these days.
So poker's almost secondary in those beginning stages, almost, because your attention is drawn in a million different areas, and it's
well, not so. Thankfully, I have an awesome team of mods that are able to help me control chat a little bit,
yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely been more comfortable these days. And because I have so much in buy-ins on the table, definitely still have to focus on those because we are playing for real money when I am on stream. I definitely enjoyed doing a lot of broadcasting, especially here at Borgata. This has been kind of my home ever since the very beginning. Got a chance to do broadcasting out for the Run It Up series in Reno, and looking forward to being out in California again early next month for the Run It Up Stones event, where I'll be in the broadcasting booth again for those. So yeah, pot developing here between Volpe and Bucky. So as a limped pot pre. Volpe betting the flop with his middle pair. And Bucky floating with the 6-5 high.
Yeah, that is a...
Bucky does pick up the straight draw on the turn. Volpe check calls, and what a river here for Bucky. Floating the good old 6 high and rivering the nuts. There's no way Volpe can expect his opponent to have a hand as strong as 6-5 here by the river.
Yeah.
Does have a very interesting bluff catcher, however, here. You would expect Bucky to have a lot of Queen X that calls the flop and now bets twice. And there weren't any immediate draws available on the flop, so really got to question what Bucky could possibly be bluffing here with. Very tough decision here for Volpe. He knows that Bucky is the type of player to be floating quite a bit on flops. So he might be a little sticky here. However, he does make the correct fold here in this hand, not paying off the value bet there by Bucky. What a great feeling that must be.
Well, you mean when he sees it on stream later, or somebody texts him the hand, is what you mean? That he made the right fold?
That, and also for Bucky to just get there with the 6-5.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough fold to make.
Hey producers, if you're listening, can we give the mod sword a taste like turtles? Yeah, I spent a little time in California after Run It Up Reno, and it was so nice there, I almost didn't come back to New Jersey. So we'll be visiting again in early December, right before WPT 5 Diamond.
Yeah, Tahoe, Reno area, beautiful, beautiful area.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful place. Lots of poker players, I know. Really love to go there, like post World Series kind of thing, to kind of just get a little bit away from everything and,
For sure. The poker scene is pretty big in Reno. Like, we
Yeah.
had a lot of locals in the Run Out of Reno event. Definitely nice to see that. Volpe all in here on the button with the King 10. And Vu fairly short out of the big blind with Queen Jack offsuit. Looks like he'll make a good fold here. I feel like we need a little bit more of these events streamed on Twitch. You know, Twitch has been a great platform for content both in the gaming world and now in the poker realm as well, where a lot of big events throughout the year, such as World Series events, WPTs, you know, big final tables such as the one we have here at Borgata, is being broadcasted on such a nice platform.
I think a lot of them are streamed now, though, aren't they? Like around, like, aren't the WPTs are all streamed, right?
Some of them, yeah.
And the Borgata, the 5 events per year are streamed as well. And we also streamed the Bar Poker Open
That's right.
last month that I commentated also with a previous Bar Poker Open winner. We do a lot of streaming. I don't know if everybody does as much. I don't know if other places do as much streaming as we do, but we have a pretty easy setup here with streaming. So
Yeah, there are definitely a few casinos out there who do weekly broadcasts.
weekly, yeah, for like games.
Yeah,
and
different cash games, different
yeah.
tournaments throughout the year. If you guys in chat want to see more poker content from Borgata, maybe some big live cash games, some more tournaments throughout the year, let us know in chat.
Yeah, we have an amazing, that room in the poker room, like that has the glass walls around it, and it's never used. It's just completely empty most of the time. Like sometimes they'll have a few final tables there, but that would be a good room for like a live cash game
For sure.
stream, just.
If only Borgata would let me bring in my little webcam, stream some poker for you guys here at Borgata. So there used to be final table broadcasts for some of the prelims here, and it's been a little while since we've been able to put that together.
Yeah, like the opening event.
The opening, the Almighty, the 6 Max in particular is always a really good
Yeah.
one, just because it's right before the main event and it attracts a lot of the big name players to it.
And also that way, too, you get like a good variety of people commentating, too, because, you can't always have the same people. But with more events streamed, you get to hear from, different players and different personalities. And
Definitely huge to put a production together. I know when I was in Reno,
yeah.
Jason Summerall had like literally tons of production equipment come in, had a whole team, and we were able to stream for 10 days straight in a casino, which is very rare to see. But would love to see more casinos out there try something like that, and it's a great way to interact with the fans, with you guys in chat. So, in order to make it happen, you guys have to want it.
Was this flop checked back, or did Bucky bet this flop?
So yeah, Bucky opened the button here. Ying defended the big blind, and Bucky did c-bet the flop.
Okay.
And quite the turn card for Bucky in that spot, turning trips.
Yeah. Yeah, if you guys want to see any additional events streamed, please tweet us and let us know. Let us know which events. Ricky's Twitter is @RatedGTO. Mine is @KatieStonePoker.
My name, Amy Earl, suggests a 2K sit and go with 5 of the Wizards. Shout out to my young Wizards. And 1 Twitch troll. Borgata would love it. We might make something like that happen in the near future. We thought about it in Reno, actually. Because there were quite a few of us out there. There is a mic on this table, but there hasn't been too much table talk by these guys so far.
payouts are currently four-handed, so they're guaranteed about 76K right now. The next pay jump for third place is 95K. Second is 156, and third and first is 270 with the trophy.
This event started with 437 players. The top 45 players got paid.
And the nice thing about this main event too is that you can buy in on day two.
Yeah, there is the option to do that.
To buy in on day two, which a lot of players take advantage of sometimes. Like if they bust out on Saturday, maybe whatever, they re-enter, and then sometimes they make the decision, like my husband, to go to sleep, come back to the casino the next day, and then register again.
Volpe's going to be all in here, blind v blind, with the ace jack. He's going to get this one through.
You guys can tweet at us and use the hashtag BorgataPokerLive if you'd like to talk to us or ask us any questions, any comments about the stream, the players, the tournaments, anything you'd like to see at Borgata or BorgataPoker.com online. Send us your suggestions, please. But, be nice. Be nice.
We have some poker legends out in chat here. What's up, Chance Corneth? Is the
we?
payout structure always like this? Yeah, Borgata payouts are typically very first place heavy. They pay about 10% of the field, with a good chunk of it going to first.
It's usually I think 23 to 24% or something, I think, is first.
Yeah, this is a slightly smaller Borgata main event field where first place is paying a little over 25%. 15% of the prize pool will go to second, and about 9% to third place. So definitely a lot of the money up top, but who doesn't like a nice big score for first place here? And that is correct. There were about 1% pay jumps from the beginning of this final table all the way until we got to 5 or 4-handed play. So pretty flat down there, but increases pretty dramatically near the end of it.
Loud Flower. My husband's name is Joe Capuccio, a.k.a. Joey Cap, for all you pre-Black Friday OGers. And his online screen name's in New Jersey. He's not too keen to publicize those. But most everybody knows that he's Rick Grimes on Borgata. Hey, Lisa. What's going on, Lisa Pickle? One of our favorite Borgata regs.
So Ying opened here in the cutoff, and Bucky deciding to go with the flat call and the small blind with the pocket queens. Very interesting to see Bucky take a passive line here with the queens, especially with how aggressive he's been so far at this final table. Definitely did not like to see that ace on the turn, as he's now checked all the way to the river. I do expect Ying to put in a value bet here now.
Thanks, Lisa. Love you too.
Pretty small bet here by Ying. And he has been looked up quite a few times already, especially by Bucky. Now, if you're in Bucky's shoes, you're like, I'm going to try and trap these queens, and you get to run out like this. 10-6-3, all spades, no spade in Bucky's hand, and an ace on the turn. Got to be pretty upset with the run out so far.
Yeah, it's not the best. That's literally what his brain is doing too.
It's like, why didn't I just 3-bet? Why did I put myself in this situation?
Oh yeah.
He's gonna pay it off here.
Gonna have to, right? Like 100K. Yeah.
And he shows everyone that he flatted the queens here. And Ying's
Look
like,
at him,
what do you have?
He's like, wait, what?
He's like, oh gosh. Thanks for letting me get there.
That look was pretty priceless.
Can someone please clip that in chat? I would love to send that to Ying after. He had what?
Are we sure that this is the real Chance Cornet, by the way, in chat?
It is.
You're 100% sure?
Chance streamed a few times here on Twitch for us over the last few months, so I'm almost certain this is the real Chance Cornet.
All right, cool. Hey, Chance. Just making sure.
Do I always call the river as played? Man, it's hard to imagine me flatting queens off of the stack that I have there, but as played, you could even consider value betting the queens on the river compared to check calling.
Oh, nice. So Chance says he'll be twitching again starting Saturday during the, I guess, the Party Poker series. Oh yeah, that big series is coming up. That would be fun. That'll be a fun stream to watch. I don't think I've ever watched Chance's stream. That's one that I would definitely want to watch. Well, good luck during the series. I hope you crush.
Yeah, Chance definitely a very, very good player, and his streams were a lot of fun. Definitely made a few deep runs as well for the fans.
I just remember always just getting kind of owned by him. Just like all the time, and like in everything. I was on full tilt. Chance's card. Chance has obviously played a lot with Bucky and Paul G's online. Like thousands and thousands and thousands of hands. I recently, during the main actually, during this main, I'm at my starting table. The player on Borgata, Sri 100K, Sri 50K. I had never met him in person.
Ah.
And we were playing at our table like for a while, for a good amount of time. And then he finally asked me, he's like, what's your name? I think he knew. Like, what's your name on Borgata? And I told him, I said, it's my name. And I said, and then like a round goes by. And then I was like, do you play on Borgata? He's like, he just nods to me. He just nods. And I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, do we play a lot? He said, yeah, we play together a lot. I'm like, oh my goodness. I went over and gave him a hug.
It's always nice to put a face to a screen name.
I was like, oh. Because, yeah, like we play with some people every single night. And that's the cool thing about being in New Jersey is you actually see the people. Whereas, you know, before it was like you'd be playing with somebody in Romania and you'd never meet them. But then you'd meet them at the World Series and then you have a lifelong friend. So, but yeah, it is nice to finally meet the people that you're playing with every night. And Sri is definitely one of our most loyal grinders, for sure. What's up, Sam Panzika? Another crusher. Happy Thanksgiving, you guys. Everybody. We haven't even said Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, you guys. I totally forgot that it was tomorrow. Somebody's going to have a nice Thanksgiving bonus check.
I think all these players will have a very happy Thanksgiving, regardless of the result here.
That's very true.
Another blind spot here for Paul Volpe. under 20 big blinds here with the Queen 7 offsuit.
Oh, and he's open folding.
He's going to like to lay it down.
Wow.
This definitely has to do with the fact that Vu is very short, and Volpe definitely conscious of that and not wanting to put any chips really at risk prior to Vu busting out.
Yeah, really. It was he kind of showed his hand too, right?
He did.
He showed. So that's interesting. Like, I wonder why he showed his hand. Like, I don't know.
I feel like Volpe's comfortable enough with his game where even if he gives a little bit of information to his opponents, it's not going to really hurt him.
Well, or it's going to come back to help him later, because if he's showing them that on a 20 big blind stack that he's folding Queen 7 offsuit, the next time he has a 20 big blind stack and he shoves,
he's probably less likely to get called.
So 2 short stacks now, 16 and 14 big blinds, which compared to the 60 and 120 big blind stacks, it's tough.
Yeah, Ying with over half the chips in play here. What a dominating situation to be in. Four-handed for $270,000 up top. Who has just a little over 12 big blinds here. Expect Bucky to just be all in. And he's going to take this one down. Yeah, for Vu and Ying, this is going to be their biggest live score ever. And for Vu in particular, his first ever live cash.
And, you know, for Wenhao Ying, this is, I mean, already it's a really impressive year. He has about 155,000 in cashes, but it's like all this year, you know. So this is a guy who has, you know, over 15 caches, all pretty much, you know, over like, you know, between 1K and 8K.
Right. And he rarely plays tournaments. You know, when he does have time to play when he's not in school, he's usually had Borgata, you know, playing some cash. So his results are literally from one summer in Vegas, where he spent a couple of weeks, and then a few stops here and there when he's not in school.
Where do we know what he is studying and where he goes to school?
Ying goes to NYU, and he's studying business there.
Wow. Well, that explains a lot. Super smart guy. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at his Hendon Mob, and it's just, it's for a 1-year, you know, tournament player, somebody who's been playing, I mean, he's been playing a little bit more than that, but somebody who really looks like they've been focusing more on tournaments in 1 year. It's just an incredible, you know, as you know, it can be difficult to cash in tournaments.
For sure.
So this guy, it seems to be, he seems like he's one to watch, you know, like you can say that about a lot of players, and we're not just saying it off of this one performance. Like, he legit is definitely like a young, up and coming guy who could just like graduate from NYU and just be like, I'm going to take a few years off.
Yeah, he was deep with me when I made my Borgata Poker Open run last April, and that was his really like first ever big cash in the live scene, and was definitely impressed with him and his play back then.
Does he play online at all?
He does not play online. No? Yeah, so
I might need to go over and have a talk with him
he
after he wins this tournament.
He doesn't live here in New Jersey, so he's not going to have too much access to playing online.
Yeah.
But he definitely has put in a little bit of work into his game, and it's shown in the success that he's had so far.
For sure. He's like the kind of guy that like can do anything, you know, his whole life in front of him. He's got an aspiring career in multiple areas, and you know, I come from the chess world, you know, before poker. I'm in the chess world, and I always thought the smartest people I would ever meet in my life would come from chess. I grew up in chess. My oldest friend, you know, Jen Frashati, we've known each other since we were teenagers. You know, I always thought the smartest people in my life that I knew would come from chess. They don't. They come from poker, you guys. They come from poker. And it's because of people like that, you know, that make this transition and have 2 careers and just such an amazing variety of personalities and intelligence.
Who's going to get the shove through here with the ace-8?
Searching for Bobby Fischer is an amazing movie. I am here to chat for sure. That's definitely a movie anybody can appreciate. And if you like poker, you'll like that movie. I mean, you know, there's no way that poker players are smarter than chess players. Listen, I mean, 10 years in each, or, you know, more than 10 years, but I don't know. I don't know. Poker players are maybe a little bit more like street smarty than the majority of chess players. Also, I have known many a chess player in my day who does not know what a dishwasher is.
I've actually never used a dishwasher in my life before. So in Asian household, if you have a dishwasher, it's actually used as a drying rack because as kids, we were taught to hand wash all of our dishes.
And
so
why? Like, what's the reason?
They never had dishwashers back then. Oh, so when grandma teaches you to wash the dishes at home, it's always hand wash.
She just got used to it, yeah.
Exactly. So any apartment that I've ever moved into with a dishwasher, I've always just used it as a drying rack.
You know, it's a good habit, though, because then your dishes never pile up in the sink.
You would think so.
And for a guy, that's a really good quality, by the way.
We've had quite the amount of dishes piling up in the Young Wizards household over the past year.
Oh, I mean, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. How many guys live there?
All right. 5 guys playing
5
poker
guys?
full time.
No.
No.
Shocked that there's an ounce of garbage anywhere in that house.
Literally had to hire an exterminator the other month.
Ew. What's up, Solve for Why? I don't know who that is, who's manning that, but thank you for joining us. Talked about Solve for Why a little bit earlier in the stream. You guys can check out their website. They have awesome training courses. They have an amazing training site. Definitely worth it to take a look.
My name Earl says paper plates and plastic bowls. We do use those. And then they get left literally everywhere around the house.
I use them too, and I hate to use them because of the waste. But
for sure.
With a 3-year-old toddler and 2 full-time online poker players, pretty much everything is on paper plates. But we do recycle. Our recycling, we literally have 5 times the amount of recycling than we do trash. It's
weird in our area where, like, you're only limited to the amount of recycling that can fit in one bin every 2 weeks.
Oh gosh, that's not good.
And we literally have like 5x
That's
that every
terrible.
time after a Borgata series.
Yeah, of course.
We have 3-way action here between Bucky on the button, Vu in the small blind, and Ying in the big blind.
And we have some playable hands, even post.
Yeah, everyone connects with this Jack 7-3 flop here. Bucky with the straight flush draw. It's going to continue here. And Vu's not going to go anywhere just yet with his top pair.
Kep C, I don't know what you're with me on, but I'm with you too.
Vu going with the check raise. Going to knock Ying out of this pot. And we're going to go heads up to the turn.
What do you think about that?
5 of clubs on the turn.
Well, he's pretty short. So, right? Yeah.
Bucky's going to call it off here with his straight flush draw. And Vu's going to need to dodge 12 outs to stay alive. 5 of spades is not going to be one of them. As Bucky makes a flush here on the river with his 10-9 of spades. And with that, we lose Dat Vu in 4th place here in the Borgata Fall Poker Open Championship event.
I'm a little sad. I would have liked I would like to see him heads up, you know?
I would have liked to seen him take 270K and slam it on black on the roulette table like he was going to say.
You better find him to make sure he does that. Very, very impressive run for Dat Vu. Very
Absolutely.
impressive.
First ever live cash, $76,830.
Very impressive score, impressive run by Dat Vu here.
Really, really cool three-handed, you guys.
Absolutely. All three players are now guaranteed $95,375. The next pay jump is to that six-figure mark, $156,309. Goes to second place. And first place will be $270,765. And what a final three we have here.
Really cool final three. This is fun for us. Like, you guys don't know how much fun this is for us because, you know, like if you're at home and you're watching a stream, sometimes it's like hard to stay glued to a stream for 8 hours. But we actually like have to do it. But it's really good because it gets a lot of fun. Like, especially now, like they're three-handed. You have three amazing players.
Yeah, Ying was the chip leader coming into this final table. He's now increased his stack, has over half the chips in play here. Bucky, who has been very active since the very beginning, has also accumulated chips, is second with almost 5 million. And Paul Volpe, the main event, the most accomplished player coming into this final table, also joins us in this three-handed battle. Looks like Bucky will take first blood here in this three-handed match.
Just to let you guys know, also, there's a high hand promotion going on right now in the Borgata Poker Room. It's a 75K high hand. I believe it's like $200 every 15 minutes, something like that. I'm not entirely sure about what it is, but it's a 75K holiday high hand. It is, yeah, $250 every 15 minutes. Plus 2 random winners receive a $250 Borgata gift card. It's December 26th through the 31st from noon until 10 p.m. every day. $250 every 15 minutes.
That's a lot of free money.
It is a lot. It's really a lot here in the poker room. The Borgata Deep Stacks tournament is also going on during that week, so you can play some tournaments, and if you bust, you can go and play some cash and win $200 in 15 minutes possibly.
There we go. Who are the commentators? We have Katie Stone, BorgataPoker.com's very own Katie Stone in the booth. And my name is Ricky Guan.
Yes, Melly, 200 every 15 minutes. That's good though, right? Like, I think it's good. Hebrew Hammer, you won the high hand last night? What do you mean you won the high hand last night? I don't get that. Oh, yeah, you did. You played cash last night. That's good. I did want to see you win. You or Drama, I would have liked to see you guys win.
WPT asks, who is Ricky Guan? I go by Rated GTO on all poker sites and social media. I moved here to NJ, and I myself stream here on Twitch. I play the highest stakes MTTs available to me here, and I've been a part of this awesome Borgata kind of production team doing broadcasting for them for the past year and a half. And NDP says, I'm the new Jay Carver. No, no, no. I do work with Jay Carver, though. I've been a member of Team Run It Up and an ambassador for them for the last couple of months now. So had a pretty awesome moment for myself happen, starting off as a fan of Jason Somerville here on Twitch a few years ago to being in the broadcast booth with him at Run It Up Reno. That was definitely an amazing moment.
Vertigo Go. I don't know what Joe you're asking about. Are you asking about my Joe? I don't know if there's another Joe. I didn't know that Bucky was a chef. He lists his occupation as chef/poker player. Had no idea. I wonder what kind of chef.
Yeah, it says since 8th grade. Has he been a poker player since 8th grade, or has he been the chef since 8th grade?
Oh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was, yeah. Yeah. No idea. I wonder what kind. There's, you know, pastry chef. There's all different kinds of chefs. His favorite poker player is StanMan420. Another online Stanley Lee, online poker player.
Yeah, Bucky was quite the troll on his player info sheet. Says he's the biggest nit at this table. Yeah, okay.
Someone says he's been cooking since before 8th grade. Well, that's cool.
Volpe's all in here. And we have a call by Bucky on the button. Pocket sixes racing against the ace-8. Volpe's going to need to hold to stay alive here. King 10-7 flop is safe for Volpe. 4 on the turn.
Oh, he hit the 6. How does he do it?
And a 6 on the river for the overkill.
This guy is the best.
He is the best. The many lives of Paul Volpe here in the Borgata Fall Poker Open Championship event.
I'm not paying him. I want the
Yeah, some people in chat saying that Bucky took a break from poker and worked for a little while and then came back. And yeah, sometimes you need that. Like a lot of players do that in their careers, throughout their careers. They, especially the ones that are in it for, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years, Sometimes you take some time off and reassess, reevaluate what you're playing, how you're playing.
And he's definitely has had a lot of success since he's been back in poker.
Yeah, definitely.
You gotta have a decent amount.
Just because you take a break, it doesn't mean that you're giving up or that you've failed. It just means poker has afforded you the ability to take a break, and you are taking that time. I had a baby. I took 2 years off, stayed home, and nursed my baby for 2 years. When poker was the way I was able to do that. If I had a different kind of job where I had to go into an office, I would not have been able to stay home for 2 years and nurse for 2 years, and came back 2 years later. Very grateful for poker in that respect.
Volpe all in again here in the small blind with the ace-8. And Bucky folding an ace in the big blind. Volpe did shove for over 20 bigs there, so able to get that through and continuing to chip up now.
Yeah, WPT POYGFY. I don't know who that is, but yes, exactly. Just because you take a break does not mean you failed. Exactly what I just said. Very true.
He literally cannot lose at Borgata. He literally cannot lose anywhere he goes to play Hebrew Hammer.
Oh, I guess WPT POIGFY is salty. I didn't know that. What's up, Salzburg?
Volpe here now with kings on the button.
And just 2 really other attractive hands.
Yeah, I do expect Bucky to play the queen jack suited here. And Ying's most likely going to come along as well with the queen 9 of diamonds. Our first 3-way pot of 3-handed play.
I can't say I blame anybody.
And that's a queen high flop. Wow. We can see some fireworks here. Top pair for both Bucky and Ying. And Volpe with the pocket kings.
And if we get to a turn, it's going to be a club.
The 9 of clubs? Is that the biggest action card? Volpe continues on the flop here. don't think Bucky's going to go anywhere just yet with the queen jack. The only question is he going to call or is he going to raise? He elects for the call. And now Ying in the big blind.
It's really interesting, though, right?
Now, Volpe did open off of a, fairly middle-ish stack, just over 20 big blinds. And him betting into 2 players here on this queen 7-3 rainbow board, he's saying he has a fairly strong hand. And with Bucky calling, how much do you love your queen 9 now?
I don't know, but I love his hair.
He did do a little work on his hair this morning. I would be shocked if he woke up and that's how it was. Ying continues as well.
That's fine, right? Like he can call and like see a turn.
Exactly.
Which,
Ooh, 8 on the turn. Almost a 9. Yeah, Ying in 3rd place here with top pair.
They're both gonna check. How much do we think he's going to bet here?
Volpe has about a pot-sized bet behind. I do expect him to just be all in here on this queen 7-3-8 board. There are a couple of draws that have come into play, and Kings does need a small amount of protection versus those hands, and you can still get value from those queen X type of hands that your opponent is going to have. Has to be a little worried that he got called by both players in this spot. But with Ying just calling out of the big blind, you do expect to be ahead of his hand. And hard to imagine Bucky having a better hand than you here, unless it's something like pocket 7s, pocket 3s, or 8-7
which
suited.
he would play the same way.
Well, he is going to be all in for pot here, and very tough decision for Bucky now. Volpe's range has to be so strong here after betting the flop, pretty dry flop into 2 players, and just shoving all in on this turn card. When Bucky and Ying both call on the flop, Volpe has to expect one of them to have at least a queen in their hand. However, Queen Jack is very strong though. Bucky makes a good laydown. Ying makes a good laydown as well. Wow.
Ow.
Unlucky for Volpe there not to get more action with his kings.
Once he sees that, once somebody texts him that hand, he's just going to feel a little nauseous. I have a comment from Alita Valu, who is one of our Borgata regs here. She plays a lot of the tournaments. She says, awesome job, guys, making it interesting to watch. Thank you. It's on Facebook. So yes, just like you predicted, Boom, in chat, Paul Volpe has chipped up a little bit. Definitely in a much safer realm with the just under 40 big blind stack.
I'd say that was a pretty well played hand by all 3 of our players there. Bucky and Ying both correctly assessing that Volpe had a very, very strong hand there. I did say from the very beginning, this was the battle that I wanted to see. These 2 players, Ying with the big stack, Volpe in position with all the experience in the world. We've already seen Ying limp 3-bet shove with King-Queen against Volpe.
Very early.
Exactly, one of the first hands of this final table. And now Ying comes in with a raise. Raise to 190,000. Volpe has about 35 big blinds to start the hand. With the ace-8 offsuit. Volpe does continue with a call here. And an ace-high flop. As Volpe now pulls ahead of Ying's jacks. Gosh, anytime you have one of these big pairs in your hand, the last thing you want to do is see an ace on the flop. Seems like it always finds a way to appear. Ying is going to elect to continue here. Unfortunately for him, he's been outflopped by Volpe. Volpe calls and off to a turn we go. Three of hearts on the turn. As the board now pairs. Ying has to be slightly worried now that he no longer has the best hand. Volpe calling pre-flop and on the flop, basically saying he has one of the pairs on the flop. You know, he's now no longer ahead with jacks against an ace, a 3. There are some draws available out there though, with diamonds, some gutters, hearts available. Going to be curious to see how Ying proceeds with these pocket jacks. Volpe with a pretty small size here on the turn. 275,000 into a pot of over 700K. And Ying makes the correct laydown in this situation.
Wow. Very precise. Good fold.
So although Volpe has made some pretty good hands to go for value on turns, he hasn't been able to get a call by one of his fellow competitors, as they've been able to make some pretty awesome laydowns with slightly worse hands. So yeah, Volpe chipping up now here in this three-handed play. Getting some very good hands. Now over 40 big blinds. I am very interested to see how Volpe now proceeds with a few more chips in his stack. And how an elite player plays post-flop. Bucky's going to limp the small blind here with the 6-3 suited. And Ying in the big with queen 6. Checks his option and off to a flop we will go.
So queen 8 was good enough to raise, but queen 6 seems to be his cutoff.
It's a little interesting because of how the stack distributions are now compared to when he did ISO the queen 8 offsuit. Back then he was able to put quite a lot of pressure on his opponent because of other shorter stacks at this final table. Against Bucky and Volpe here, who are now, you know, fairly deep. They both have over 40 big blinds. Yes, you are still able to put pressure versus your opponent, but at the stack depth, they're just very rarely going to be all in by the river that it's hard to really apply too much. So with a hand, a middling strength kind of hand like Queen 6, he does elect to check it back this time, and it might work out for him because he is able to keep some dominated like 6x hands in Bucky's range. And oh, Bucky. Looks like you put in a nice little check raise here.
Like it.
Ying took a stab on this flop with his queen high and his gutter. But Bucky immediately coming with the check raise, and Ying electing to just fold his gutter, even though he was in position in that pot. Nice takedown by Bucky there with the 6 high.
Do you like his check raise, or would you prefer to maybe have a 9?
If your opponent is going to be folding, gutters themselves, such as a hand like Queen 6, then it's definitely going to be a winning check raise in this spot. He also has some like backdoor clubs to go along with it as well.
We know a club was coming on the turn. Definitely.
Yeah, Bucky has definitely shown the propensity to just get there on rivers if he makes an aggressive play on the flop.
True Swanger, the delay is 30 minutes, I believe, yeah?
Yep, 30-minute delay. Ying with the pocket 10s now in the small blind. Another very, very strong hand in a blind versus blind confrontation with Paul Volpe. Now Volpe might think his opponent is opening a little too wide here, as Ying did bet the flop the last time and check folding the river, a line that looks fairly weak in Volpe's eyes. Might be thinking that Ying's getting a little out of line here, but in reality, Ying has actually had some pretty good hands.
Nice fold.
Volpe electing just to fold the King 6 this time. So we've definitely seen a mix of strategies from Ying from the small blind, incorporating good hands in both of those ranges. He was limping hands as strong as King Queen suited and King Queen offsuit earlier in this tournament, and now we see him go to more of a raise strategy with hands like jacks and 10s. Melly says, can I ask Ying how he styles his hair? Alright, if he does end up winning this tournament during his post-tournament interview, that will be one of the questions that I will ask him. Yeah, all three players locking up almost a 6-figure payout here. Over $95,000 to all of these three players. The next pay jump is to $156,000. And there's going to be a first place prize of $270,765. All three of these players at this point must feel like they have a pretty decent shot at that first place prize. Paul was fairly short. Paul Volpe was fairly short at this final table until we got down here to three-handed play. But now has definitely put himself in a situation where he'll be fighting for the chip lead in some of these pots coming up. Bucky kind of been on the other side of that spectrum where he's been second in chips to Ying the entire time and has been pretty active so far in battling Ying and the other players at the table for chips. So in this blind v blind spot, Bucky electing to take a stab with the 5 high on the ace-king-10 board. Ying is floating with the queen high, Broadway gutter. And look at that. Bucky rivers a 5.
And he's gonna.
Yeah,
everybody's gonna see it.
Yeah, unlucky for Ying here that his opponent rivered a 5, as queen high does have quite a bit of showdown. Looked like Bucky was gonna give up for the most part with his 5 high by the turn. So queen high does have a bit of showdown here on the river versus all the other kind of garbage hands that Bucky took a stab with. What's up, WSOP boy? WSOP boy would make quite a run here in this championship event as well. Came in 12th.
He makes runs in everything.
That is true.
It's not a new occurrence for him.
He's had quite the year so far.
Yes. Go out to California with Ricky, please. Just leave the state.
Thankfully for you guys here in New Jersey, he does not play online poker on the NJ sites. But he's definitely had quite the year here on the East Coast, winning the Borgata Monster Stack in January for his first ever Borgata title. He also chopped the kickoff event here right after Vegas in July for another $140,000 score. And he also won the Parks main event earlier this year as well. So quite the year WSOP boy is having.
You see, this is why he ruined Hebrew Hammer's life on day 2, and that's what I don't like to see.
I feel like Hebrew Hammer has said that about quite a few people in chat today.
Listen, I got to shout out to Hebrew Hammer because he was on the pure bubble of this main event at the same time he was helping my husband and I deal with an emergency dog chocolate chocolate ingestion issue. And so he was on a very, very intense bubble. Well, it wasn't intense. People were laughing. But at the same time, he was dealing with an emergency for me and my dog. So I appreciate that very much. Multitasking for the win.
Who is WSOP boy? He is one of the legendary online players of our generation.
Wait, what? What did you just say?
He's had quite the resume, both live and online in the last couple of years.
Wait, what did you say?
Legendary?
Legendary online poker players of our generation. Wow, that's quite strong.
It is. And you'll definitely see more of him in the live scene in the upcoming year. So it looks like these players will go on break. We will also take a quick 15-minute break as well. Hey again.
Hey guys.
Hi friends. So yeah, quick 15-minute.
Do what you love and get the thrill of Borgata anytime and anywhere in New Jersey. Play online, poker, slots, blackjack, real money. TheBorgata.com. Now that's a win. Get $20 to play when you sign up now.
Escape to a world of winning. The Borgata Online Casino app. Real casino games, real cash. Download today and start winning.
Hello, and welcome back to the 2018 Fall Poker Open Championship event. This is a $2,700 buy-in tournament that started with 437 players, and we are down to our final 3. So yeah, here we go. Down to the action. We are flipping for the trophy.
Looks like they're gonna do it face down.
Okay, Volpe with the pocket 9s.
I mean, he's got a hand. Wantman calling off with a 7-4.
Ying
Wenhao
with the
Ying
10-5.
also calling with the 10-5.
There's this one. He just runs so hot. It's disgusting.
Wow, this is running bad. I want to lose.
It is just disgusting.
Because I'm
You
not.
do want to.
Yeah. I want to 10.
If there's any justice.
So yeah, if Ying is able to catch up here with the 10-5, he will claim the trophy. If Volpe is able to hold here, we might get another hand.
Bad for me, because I'm losing money. But 10 more. 10.
Off to a flop we go. That is a 5 on the flop for Ying. He's going to need another 10 or 5 to catch up here.
That's such a bad card for us.
King on the turn, and Ying's going to need another 5 now. 9 on the river for the overkill. All right, looks like Volpe's going to double up here. We're going to lose Bucky, and it's now down to Volpe and Ying who's going to flip for this trophy.
2 million. Oh, we just did it. I had 2.2.
Really impressive final table. I really enjoyed
Absolutely.
this final table with you, Ricky. And thanks to you guys for watching on Twitch and joining us and following us on Twitter. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at Katie Stone Poker, and you can follow Ricky at RatedGTO.
Absolutely. You can
And-
follow me on all social media. I do stream here on Twitch as well. I'll be live right after this Borgata series. I'm going to go home a little bit for Thanksgiving and then be back on the Twitch streets before Run It Up Stones early next month. So be sure to give me the follow button here as well.
I'll be back on the BorgataPoker.com online streets.
I will see
Well,
you there.
when I get home tonight.
So yeah, the 3 players did agree to an ICM chop, and we are now flipping for the trophy. Now down to Volpe and Ying. Ying was the chip leader in this 3-handed chop deal, so he will take home the largest share of the final remaining prize pool. One more hand to go.
So there's no controversy.
I think it's only fitting that Ying gets this trophy. He did have the chip lead when they chopped, right?
He did.
So
Yep.
Volpe probably already has plenty of trophies in his mantle. Let's give one to Ying here. I think I can play favorites at this point.
I mean, listen,
trophy.
you wanted Ying, I wanted Paul G's, so we both win, right? Like
For
we
sure.
both get what we want in seeing our guys heads up. So totally fine in my book.
All right, the King 9 versus the 8-6. Ying's going to need to catch up again. No help on this 10-5-3 board.
I run too good. They just won't.
5 on the turn. Volpe says he runs too good. Don't jinx yourself just yet, Paul. 8 on the river.
Oh, wow.
And it looks like Ying will claim the trophy as well, in addition to the large sum of prize money that he has won here in the Borgata Fall Poker Open Championship event.
Congratulations, everybody. Very well
Yeah,
played.
congratulations to all of our final tablists here today. It's been an awesome stream, some amazing poker being played.
Well, thank you guys for joining us, and thanks for so much Twitter interaction and chat interaction and Twitch interaction, and hope you guys will join us here in January at the WPT.
Absolutely. Yeah, congratulations to Wenhao Ying, our Fall Poker Open champion here at Borgata. And we hope all of you can join us again in January, on January 15th, for the Borgata Winter Poker Open. That'll take place from January 15th to February 1st, and we hope to see all of you guys here. So for Katie Stone, I am Ricky, rated GTO Guan. Bye, friends.
See you guys later. Thank you.